Okay. For today, let's go. Like, what are we gonna study today? Uh, I mean, this is the female the videos, like the new videos. But I want something more basic, to be honest with you. Maybe actually, fuck. Let's see this actually.
You, Chris,
Yeah, she
Drayton,
has the look.
and
She has the look.
Lewis.
She has the look of a killer.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Okay, I'm
Hey,
gonna.
everyone. Hope all are well. I've had a hiatus. I don't know who's been on my training calls before. Andrew, I know you have been elsewhere. So just so you guys are clear, I can help essentially with any sales challenges that you are having pertaining to like scripts, process, whatever, you can role play, I can give you feedback. I'd say an area where, I guess a focus area for me is certainly in sales EQ or emotional intelligence. So being able to adapt your approach depending on the emotional state that the person you're speaking to is in. The caveat to that is being able to understand very quickly and very accurately what emotional state the person you're speaking to is in, how to utilize that to predict what objections that you get, and therefore understanding, okay, what conversation needs to be had to prevent those objections from coming up in the first place. Using that as a means as well to diagnose any potential resistance that you're getting, whether that's sales resistance or just some type of resistance to questions that were being asked, to you as a person, like whatever it is. And I suppose the reason that I feel and have come to find, that's important but sometimes forgotten is like, you guys tell me, for anyone who's dating or in a relationship, do you approach your partner about something and speak to them exactly the same way when they're in a really good mood, uh, or if they're stressed or angry? Um, Boys, are you trying to take your missus to bed when she's in a bad mood? Probably not. There's a reason for that, right? So now the challenge is though, like we kind of develop that emotional intelligence and emotional acuity with people that we know over a period of time. Whereas oftentimes when it comes to a sales conversation, this is the very first time that we're interacting with this human. And we haven't got the benefit of having got to know them and understanding them as like a person. So we need another way to be able to do that. And then the other challenge to that can be that people often come into a sales conversation wearing a mask. Okay. However, masks require effort to wear because it's not natural. And so what do we sometimes do when we're wearing a mask? We let the mask slip. When the mask slips, that's where I get an opportunity to get a feel for the real person. So that's kind of my goal as quickly as possible at the beginning of the conversation is work out kind of fact from fiction, so to speak. And yeah, I mean, that in itself has really changed my relationship or my perspective of initial sales call resistance, as opposed to being like, oh man, like this person's like cold and closed down. I kind of smile and I go, awesome. Like I find it's fun. And also I look at it like perfect, this is exactly what's supposed to happen. But then I just kind of smile. I'm a lot more relaxed at the start and I look at it as a bit more of a game. So yeah, that's kind of my area of expertise, if that's triggering anything for anybody. But otherwise, like I said, I can help with anything that you guys are needing help with pertaining to improving the quality of your sales conversations, your results, and your bank accounts. So yeah, I'll hand it to you guys. Pop your hand up, like your little emoji hand thing up if you'd like some help, some feedback, you've got a question, and then I'll just move around the room. Make sure you don't sit on that either, because like if only a few people put hands up, like I'll give those people extra time. And so if you wait to the end, you put your hand up. Now I'm like, oh great, I've just given, I don't know, give a max 25 minutes because no one else bothered to put their hand up, right? So hands up if you want help and feedback, and we'll go around there. I'll go around and I'll help. And it's not a lecture either, so if no one puts their hand up, we just end the call. Good job. All right, Andrew, how can I help?
Hey, so I was wondering if you had any feedback um, for getting your first offer. I know it's a little bit off, but I want to transition from retail sales. I don't know if you saw my personal Facebook, the store closed, and
Oh, yes.
a lot of
Yep.
stores want a lot of online things they want experience. They want call recordings and stuff that I just don't have.
Yeah. Okay. So I think like, I mean, there's no black and white feedback for any one person. You kind of have to, like, and if anyone tries to force any kind of, there's a right way to do things on you guys, just telling them to fuck off. Like, there's not. You got to do what's right for you. And so I would say there's a couple of things that I would look at, but like a best case scenario would be if money's not too much of a concern, as in maybe you've got some savings there, you've got a little bit of a runway, you can look at that and go, you know what, I'm okay with burning that while I figure things out. Then I would say make your priority an offer where it's not so much about skill, it's more about like volume, and you can just fail forward like a bazillion times a day. Oftentimes a really good offer to get into when you're transitioning from, say, in-person to remote sales would be fitness, because typically it's lower ticket, typically it's higher volume, and it's just a really good way to have a heap of conversations in a day and get really good, as opposed to something that is like maybe higher ticket, where one, maybe it's a little trickier to get onto the offer, it's a bit trickier to get up and running, it's more higher ticket, but also you've got much lower call volume. And even if you're not new to remote sales, but maybe you're going on to a new offer, I would say, like, the more volume you have, the more conversations you can have, the faster you'll get good. So that would be my like biggest thing, just take into account, consider your financial situation a little bit. And I mean, if you've got some savings there, and again, you're cool with like burning it, that's what I did. I just had a bit of cash there and I went, cool, like I'll burn through that, no problem. While I figure this out, I burned through that and some, you know what I mean? But like I'm here where I am now, so I wouldn't change things. But like that's what I did. I just went, where can I have a lot of conversations? And I went that route. And there's a few different offers out there that I'd say that'd be good for that. Committed Coaches is one, because they've just got more leads that you can poke a stick at. And the good thing there is it's not a whole heap of pressure on you to like get in and be like phenomenal immediately. V-Shade's probably like another one, because again, kind of like high volume. They're also a challenging sale. So if you can figure that out, if you can crack that, you can sell anything. So yeah, does that help?
Yes.
Cool. And I know personally, and there's a few different committed teams, like Ryan Ortega's floating about, but also I've got I can connect, I've got someone I can link people up with, who's one of the the top teams there, and they're not asking for call reviews and things like that. They're also just looking for like ethic and are you showing up and willing to do the work. So yeah, that's kind of what my take would be. Is that good? Get what you need, or yeah, sweet.
Great.
All right, Max, how can I help?
Hey Laura, how are you? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Cool,
Well, thank
perfect. So quick question. I'm going NEPQ, so solution awareness part one.
you. Yep.
If I'm pre-objection handling there, how far are
Yep.
you are you getting let's say it's like you realize they haven't moved forward because of price.
Uh-huh.
Are you getting once you do your reframe, are you getting like commitment at the end, or like how are you ending it?
Yeah. So I would say that with that first part of solution awareness, I'd say learn it in stages. For example, there's no point doing the whole like 9 yards in that first part of solution awareness if you're just not very well versed in the first part of solution awareness. I'd say that level 1 would be just getting through it, as in understanding there's a decision tree that happens at that point, where it's like, okay, they've looked at something but didn't move forward, or they haven't looked at all, or they've tried something in the past, and understanding where do I take the conversation depending on that response. I would say that's a great place to start. How confident, how familiar, how well versed would you say that you are in that part of NEPQ?
Pretty good. I'm an inner circle.
Okay,
so
good, great. So hopefully pretty
yeah,
good.
so I have
Right.
so I have a decent understanding.
Yeah.
It's just more along the lines like I go through my reframe with them, right? And they're like following
Yeah.
along. And then
Yeah.
I just don't know if that's good enough, or should I go kind of like
Mm.
how Anthony goes about it and gets like commitment, like, hey, are you commit, like doing like the two type of
Well,
people, like you have.
you tell me, how good's Anthony at sales in your opinion?
He's very good. He's very good.
Okay, and so do we want to reinvent a wheel that's rolling pretty well, or do you feel like if that's what Anthony's doing and he's pretty freaking good, then okay, maybe that's the standard that I aim for?
No, I think you're correct. So I think it's actually
Yeah,
getting that
that's what I'd aim
commitment
for.
then. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think it's getting that
absolutely.
commitment before.
Otherwise, it's pointless, dude. You may as well just not you may as well it's like I don't know, like you're baking a cake and you put most of the ingredients in and you're like, that'll do, and you put it in the oven and then you're like, oh, I wonder why that didn't come out the way it was supposed to. So yeah,
Yeah.
if you commit and you go in, go for it, and it might not always work out the way that it's supposed to, at least initially. But the more that you try it on and the more that you get clear on exactly what responses that you need, and also making sure they're not just being agreeable with you, you get what you need, the more effective that will be. So yeah, the challenging or the uncomfortable part can be, especially if we identify that they haven't moved forward because of price, and now we're looking to handle that and ensure that's not an objection again, is it gets a bit uncomfortable. There's some tension now in that moment, and we want to make sure we don't, our intention is right, as in my intention isn't to make sure you buy. That's not my intention. My intention is to help you to understand that like that way of thinking of allowing the price to have held you back in the past is exactly why you're still in this situation and we're having this conversation today.
Right.
So what I want to understand, because otherwise there's no point in us continuing to have this conversation, is that, like, let's suppose this ticks all of the boxes. Like, you believe that this will actually help you to solve the problem you have and get you the outcome that you want. Like, even if maybe money is a concern, are you at least willing to put yourself in a resourceful state where you're willing to go, cool, this is what I need. You know, it's time to make a change. This is what I need in order to facilitate that change. Like, I'm committed to finding a way to make it work. Because it's okay if we get to the end and you're like, hey, Max, like, this sounds cool, but like, I don't feel like this is for me. Like, that's fine. We high five, we part ways. But like, what I don't want for you is for us to kind of get to the end of this conversation and you're like, oh man, this is exactly what I need, but it's a lot of money again. I guess I'll just stay exactly where I am, because like, that's doing you a disservice. That's not why I'm here.
Yeah, I like that. Do you feel
Yeah,
like
and if
that?
that's kind of how, that's the energy that I carry. Can you feel that though? Like, my intention is like, hey, I'm here to help, but I don't give two shits whether you buy or not. Like, I want to help you. Can you
Yeah,
see that?
yeah, super authentic.
Yeah.
Do
Yeah.
you feel like sometimes that triggers them to be like, well, what's the price? And then it just kind of goes
Yeah,
down that route?
absolutely. Yeah. And it's like, yeah, look, and that's a fair question. And like, we'll certainly get to that. But again, like, my question to you is like, regardless of the price, are you at a point where, like, what do you sell, Max? Pause for a sec. What do you sell?
Yeah, so I do health. I sell for a health coach that does gut like coaching, gut health.
Oh, okay, easy. Yeah, so I go that line. Yeah, like, that's a fair question, and I'm more than happy to go over the details with you. I suppose at this point, though, my question to you is, knowing that you've been in the situation you've been in for 6 months now, like, you're at a point where the bloating and the gut issues are robbing you of opportunities to make memories with your children and do this and that. Like, my question to you is like, how much longer are you willing to allow, you know, price and like what it costs to resolve that to hold you back?
I like that.
Because, do you know what I mean? So
Yeah,
what am I doing with their focus? Because where is their focus in that question? How much does it cost? Where's their focus?
yeah, it's just focused on price, not the actual result.
Yeah. So what am I doing? Where am I redirecting their focus?
Yeah, the result.
Yeah, but also the real problem.
Yeah.
Because they're looking at it like the real problem is the bloating and the gut issues or whatever. No. The real problem is you've known you've had this problem for however long, and you've not got real help for it because you've allowed money to hold you back. And like, let's be honest, I know it's a bit crass, but like, think about a crack addict. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
what lengths is that human being willing to go to get what it is that they want? Or like, think of a mother and I don't know, their child's like trapped under something, like suddenly they've got superhuman strength. Like, that's resourcefulness. And so if you can shift the conversation away from like price and towards like helping them to see the real problem, which has been how they haven't been essentially valuing themselves enough, and potentially even their family enough, to look at this like an actual priority, to look at it as like a kind of nice. Oh, it'd kind of be nice. I'll see what it costs. It's like, that's the real problem. So if you
Yeah.
can help them to see that, and you can create this like, shit moment for them,
Yep.
like, they will buy. And if they
Okay.
don't have the money, they will find it. They'll be like, dude, like, just tell me what I need to do. Like, can I give you some money today? Because like, I'm gonna figure, you'll have people like that at you if you can help them have that epiphany, so to speak. It's where people don't, that you just end up having with the same objections that held them back in the past.
Yeah.
Like, who they
Yeah.
are today has got them where they are now. So we want that
Correct.
epiphany moment, because then there's been this identity transition, and now they can't look at the problem, they can't look at themselves, they can't look at their life the same way, and they will act completely differently. Yeah.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
that
I like that.
comes down to shifting that state from like where they are and what they're focusing on into solution focus, goal focus, future focus.
Yeah. Because right now
Does
what
that
I'm
help?
doing is it helps. I'm putting them into two categories. I'm like, hey, kind of like cost versus investment. And they'll be like, yeah, I've been
Hmm.
viewing my health as a cost. And it's like, okay, for you to get to where you
Yeah.
want to be, do you feel like it'd be more beneficial to actually view it as like an investment,
Yeah.
so that way you can start feeling better, X, Y, Z?
Hmm.
And they're like, yes.
Yeah.
And then I
Yeah.
go to
Or
commitment. Are you
even
committed to being that
get
person?
them start with the cost. It's like, yeah, like, you're right, there is a cost. Like, can I ask you, remind me, how long has this been an issue for you? How long have you been struggling with this? Okay. And so in the past 12 months, then, like, what does this cost you in terms of like opportunities, experiences, memories? Like, what does it cost you?
I
Okay.
like
So
that.
you tell me, how much longer are you willing to pay that price? Okay.
Mm,
So like, either way, there's a price to pay. You know what I mean? It's like, it just comes down to which one you're willing to pay. Which one is it?
yeah.
Well,
I
why
like
is
that.
that? Do you just see what I mean? So like,
Yeah.
get them to see that there's a cost either way. It's just because oftentimes it's not monetary, that they're not seeing it as a cost, but it's like, what have you missed out on?
Yeah. Super helpful. Thank you so much.
Yeah, my pleasure. My pleasure. All right. Juan Carlos.
Hey, Laura.
Hey.
Thank you. So I really like when you shared a couple of months ago with another coaching session, the map of consciousness. And
Hey,
I
pause
guess
for a sec. I'm really struggling with your audio. Maybe it's because I'm in my 30s now, but like it's hard to hear you.
okay, yeah, probably it's, I'm on the street, so
That's
that
better.
might.
Just
Okay,
stay right there. Don't move.
okay,
Okay, go again.
okay, I'll be here. So I really like the map of consciousness that you shared
Yep.
last time that we met, and so
Mhm.
I guess my question is it's quite simple as I saw it and understood it in a way. It has different tools, right, to help um, um, help get the prospect to be more vulnerable, right, to
Mhm.
drop their defensiveness. And so if
Yep.
I think about how we can integrate it, for example, with the frameworks that we have, whether the NEPQ or the frameworks that Matt teaches us,
Yep.
would it be like, say, as we're following each of the stages of a call or a conversation, then the prospect gives an answer. If we are familiar enough at that point to identify quickly, okay, this is like a guilty statement, this is how can I
Mhm.
respond to that? And then we move
Mhm.
forward. Later, maybe they're evolving to some
Mhm.
apathy or some desire.
Yep.
So is
Yep.
that how you start inserting those
Yes.
little
Yes.
responses
Yes. Yes.
without altering your
Yeah.
framework?
That's yeah, exactly. So your framework. Think of your framework, like whatever it is. Let's if it's NEPQ or I don't know, Cold Gordon, whatever it is. Like think of that like your the general route from one side of a battlefield to the other. It's like it's the clear path through the minefield. Do you know what I mean? And right, but like every now and then, depending on who we're speaking to, there might be a mine here. Okay. And what a lot of sales reps do is just go, oh well, I always walk this way, and then you just walk that way and you step on the mine. You know what I mean? So generally speaking, it's like that path is free of mines, but sometimes it's not. And so to your point, what this is a way to or something you can layer then into your process. So where if we approach a mine, we're like, oh, okay, interesting. I think that although I've walked this path before, in this occasion, I think there's a mine here. Like that's my way to change my path slightly to go around the mine and then back onto the path that I'm on. So a good example would be essentially what I just went over with Max, right? That's an example where you know those things that we say at that point in the conversation, we might not say every single time because Max might have a conversation with somebody who like money hasn't held them back. He doesn't need to have that conversation. Yeah. Now, I might have that conversation there, and the tone that I use when I'm asking those questions and maybe helping them to see the cost, I might use quite a challenging tone because maybe I'm speaking to some type of business professional who's a bit more assertive, more sure of himself, and I need to have a more challenging tone. Maybe the tone I'm using now, like, okay, well, let's talk about costs for a second. Looking back, what has this cost you? Like, that's quite a challenging tone. Maybe I'm speaking with like a single mom who's lacking like a lot of confidence, and money is actually like a source of stress, for example, then my tone might shift to like, okay, well, I mean, if we were to pause for a moment and talk about costs, like if you were to look back, what like in your mind, what has this cost you? Do you see the difference? So that's another example of where like I'm adjusting that to best navigate that potential mine, right?
Yeah.
I'm just going to mute you for oh no, it's gone. I don't know what's happening. A lot of rain or something. Yeah. So to your point, yes, and I'll share this. I'll share my screen really quickly for anybody here who's like, I've got no idea what these guys are talking about. Fire screen. Yeah, window screen.
Fucking
Nice
idea,
value.
but I'm here. And I'm fucking
One
hot,
sec. I'll
I
just.
don't know why. I love this lady. She's
Does anyone
something
here not
very,
know what
very
I'm
strong.
talking about? By the way, would it be helpful if I did a quick share of this?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Sir. I
Okay.
swear.
When I can
Noobs.
figure out how. Well, I don't know why it's not showing up. Share window. There we go. There we go. Screen anyway. Okay. Can you guys see that? I don't know how to file view.
What the fuck is this?
There we go.
We can see it
Present
now.
full screen. There you go. Can you see full screen? Hopefully.
Yes.
Tipping Point Courage. Okay, so this is the Map of Consciousness by David R. Hawkins. I would say that it is like a personal development tool, so to speak. So I would highly or strongly recommend anybody here like read this. It's you can't. It's very difficult to develop your emotional intelligence and to be able to read and influence others if you don't have high level of self awareness yourself and you're not in a high level state yourself. So a couple things here. There's kind of two ends to the spectrum. The first important rule is never look at this like good or bad. Like, for example, if my mother has just passed away. Like, it's perfectly appropriate for me to be in a state of grief. Like, it would be a bit weird if I was, I don't know, feeling joyful, like, unless I hated her, do you know what I mean? Unless she was like Cruella de Vil, right? Or if someone has wronged if someone hurts my fiance, like, and I'm angry, like, that's okay. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, it's not good or bad. It's more like, is this state appropriate for the situation? Is it conducive to the action that we need this person to take? Because every emotional state has a typical behavior associated with it, because our thoughts drive our emotions, and it's our emotions that drive our behavior. So, for example, fear, like, there's always a tendency for humans to withdraw in a situation that is a source of like immense fear, to remove ourselves from the situation. Like, if I genuinely feel fear for my life, like, it makes sense that I'm going to that emotion is going to drive a habitual behavior, an automatic behavior to just get out of there. Okay. That's why if you've ever been in a sales call and someone is really fearful, it feels like they just want to get out of there. The conversation doesn't feel productive. It feels like you're trying to help them, and they're kind of like, I just need to go away. I just need to go away and think about it. I just need time. You know what I mean? They're trying to remove themselves. And so people will, a person's emotional state will fluctuate. Do you know what I mean? Like, you could be happy and then someone cuts you off in traffic and suddenly angry for a second, but then that passes. It's like, in a sales conversation, we influence a person's emotional state by the questions we ask. Like, if any of you here have children, and I sat here and I asked you 20, 30 questions and took you back into that moment that your first child was born and you held them, and right, like, you're going to be thinking about that memory. It's going to induce those emotions. Do you know what I mean? And so, like, we're already, regardless of whether you intend to or not, just by asking people questions, we're influencing their emotional state. But what I need to do is, like, anybody who is below this line of courage, down this lower end, I don't know if you guys, can you see me, my pointer, my little blue pointer? Or not?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So down here, this is these are all just the paradigm for these individuals is survival. And we can have a predominant emotional state in different areas of our life. So, for example, again, let's say I'm speaking to a really successful CEO. Yeah, let's say I'm speaking to Matt, right? And we're talking about business and business growth. He's going to be in a high level state for sure. Okay. But let's say Matt's let his health go and he's really, really overweight and he's booked a call. He's like, right, going to get a PT, whatever. And that PT's having a conversation with him about his health and his fitness. He might be in a low level state in that area of his life because he's really, I don't know, maybe he's disappointed in himself for letting himself go. You know what I mean? So, like, it depends on, it can be attached to different areas of life, right? And so now the thing is, because this is a survival paradigm, like, all that person is focused on is like keeping themselves safe. And so realistically, all these lower level states are just different masks of fear. Like, a person who is angry is generally, that's an outward projection of that emotion, but generally it's they're afraid of something. Do you know what I mean? Or pride, like someone who's really maybe arrogant, is there's a mask on because they're trying to paint themselves in a certain light because maybe there's something that they're a little bit ashamed of or embarrassed about. So they're they're hyping up their results, their achievements. Okay, so it's all just a mask for fear. It just shows up differently. And so when we can start to identify, like, I would say, for example, like when Max was sharing that instance where, I don't know, maybe you've got someone who's like, yeah, I looked into something but didn't move forward, and you're like, oh, okay, it's interesting. Like, is there a reason you didn't? And they're like, oh yeah, I mean, it was a lot of money. Like, that's quite an apathetic tone and quite apathetic language. Okay, that's kind of like, oh, it was too much money, so, oh well, I guess this is my reality now. That's quite an apathetic state. Apathy is the abdication of power and responsibility, as in, nothing I can do about it. Okay, so that conversation that I shared with Max to have about, like, looking at it differently, redirecting their focus from price to what it's actually cost them and that kind of thing. What we're aiming to do is to shift this person's thoughts about that situation to therefore influence their emotions and move them more into this high level state. So do you remember when Max, I suggested we ask, like, the real question is regardless of what it costs, like, you actually willing to put yourself in a resourceful state? Remember that? Willing.
Yeah.
This is a really good, and if you notice, guys, like, there's quite a number of questions that we'll often ask that have the word willing in it, or some word that's like willing. So where I'm trying to aim for is, like, shifting this person up here. And if you can get them up here and we kind of anchor them in that state of willingness. So if Max does a really good job in that section, this person has that moment and goes, like, you're right, I haven't thought of it that way. And yeah, no, I'm willing to be resourceful. I'm no longer willing to settle for this anymore. Like, I have to do something about it. Or they take responsibility. They go, yeah, okay, I see that this isn't COVID's fault or whatever, right? It's on me, acceptance. Like, and we can anchor them in this state. Guys, this is where you don't get objections. Okay. You might get a little spike of fear, right? And what that looks like will be like, oh man, this is exactly what I need and I really want to do it. But like, I've got a ton of like outgoings coming up. And it's like, it's like kind of like there's a devil and an angel on their shoulder. Yeah. That's a good thing, right? That's still great because like all you have to do is just ask some questions and steer them more towards that willingness, and the angel on their shoulder will win. Okay. If you don't anchor them up here in these states, then you won't just get a fear spike, you will get a shift to fear. And now you've got work to do. Now you've got work to do in objection handling. Okay. So a lot of this is like, essentially we can't, and not, if you were to ask somebody what's your emotional state, most people couldn't tell you anyway, right? And then one of the definitions, I suppose, of the survival paradigm is like a lack of self-awareness. So no one in these low-level states is going to be very good necessarily at saying like, I'm fearful or I'm apathetic or I'm prideful. You know what I mean? They oftentimes they will justify and rationalize, and if you're not careful, they'll convince you that they're actually in a high-level state when they're not. For example, desire can look a lot like willingness, but you'll get a mad big fear of commitment if you don't shift them out of desire. Right. And so like what we want to be able to do is like internal, like external is always a reflection of internal. So the way that a person is communicating, the words that they use, the energy behind the words, so their tone, body language as well, all of that, that's behavior. That is external. And remember what I said earlier, what drives behavior? Thoughts, which drive emotions. Thoughts and emotions are internal. So essentially, if we can get good at understanding like, okay, what does apathy look like? What does it sound like in terms of language and tone? Then as we're listening to people, we can identify, apathy. And now I know, much like the minefield analogy that I used, that's where we can put the brakes on, and we understand what conversation that we need to have. We can also understand how to most effectively communicate with a person in that state. Because, for example, if I go in very challenging with a person who's in anger, how well is that going to work out?
No,
not real well. Okay. So, or someone who's in fear, what they're looking for is safety and security. So I want to use a more nurturing tone. Someone who's in pride, like I kind of need to meet them where they're at. Like if I don't use a more assertive or challenging tone, I'm not a dick, but if I don't hold my own, they'll just eat you up alive. They won't hear you. They won't respect you. Okay. I'm not going to beat them down. That's certainly a tactic that a lot of sales trainers out there use, and you can do that. You can force somebody to do something, but it is not as powerful or impactful as just kind of going this way about it, so to speak. So guys, the aim is to shift people into this state. And if you just have in your mind, even if you just get really good at going like, well, what does willingness sound like and look like? What does it feel like when I'm talking to this person? Like that's a really good sign. Even courage, like courage is the tipping point. It's the first point that someone will move forward. Courage is being afraid but doing it anyway. So they're afraid, but there's a desire to change that. And it can go either way if you're not good at recognizing they're encouraged, because the devil can win. They can slip back into fear and that will win. But if you're good at recognizing that they're encouraged and you can anchor them in courage, then they'll feel afraid and do it anyway. Does that make sense, guys?
Definitely.
Yeah. So like I was saying, this is really a personal development tool, and I'd strongly recommend that all of you read it and study it, because it's very helpful for you personally. And like the point here is that a sales rep who is showing up to sales calls in a survival paradigm, where like, for example, we desire to make the sale for the money, or we desire it so that we can post a sale in Slack so we can be top of the leaderboard, like, or a sales rep showing up in pride, where you're looking at it like beating this person, like I'm better than them, and look at them, they're fat and unwell and whatever, and I'm better than them. Like you can't shift somebody from a low level state to a high level state if you're in a low level state. So then the most important thing above everything else is the state that you show up to a call in. And the best place to start is always just neutrality. Like I'm here to help, but whether you move forward or not, my life's G, I'm sweet. I'm just here to help. And then as the conversation progresses and they lower their guard, they start to, we start to connect with them and open up, then we can shift more into a state of like willingness and moving them forward like that. But that's the most important part. So here, their focus is always just on survival. And so any of the behavior will be some version of like trying to keep themselves where they are right now, not changing. That's what this is synonymous with resistance. So you always get resistance. As soon as you encounter any kind of resistance, you just know, all right, cool, low level state. Make sense?
Is this in a book? Where did you say we can find this, Laura?
Yes, so it is in a book. There's a book on it. It's by David R. Hawkins. And like I said, it's a personal development tool. What I have done and am doing is like I've essentially like turning this into a sales tool, because this is just what I would say my strength has always been, is being able to read people. And I did a presentation recently and decided to talk on emotional intelligence, and I remembered this, and I was like, well, that's a great way for me to be able to, rather than make something up, like that's a really great tool for me to be able to use to then, apply through a sales lens. So I just spent months like psychoanalyzing myself and going, cool, how do we apply this to sales? So yeah, there's a few different ones. There's actually another guy too. I forget his name. Someone else might know it. He did an Dodson. Can't remember his first name now.
Is this
Yes.
Power versus Sport?
Yes. What's his name again?
I have no idea. Yeah, you're in the ballpark.
Yeah. So there's David R. Hawkins. There's is it Frederick? Frederick Dodson.
Yes.
So yeah, and again, like mostly personal development tools, like I would say, but read the summaries of them, etc. But I'm starting to build out some tools and things like that, and then obviously that's what I'm running these calls. So again, I can help you guys with anything. But if you guys really want to develop your emotional intelligence, I would say that it's really good once you've got your kind of basic structure down. So Max, I'll just pick on you again. Max is kind of like, he's got his structure, he's got his framework, he's pretty decent at like, cool, how do I walk from one side of the minefield to the other? This is where you then add that layer on top of like, cool, how do I navigate, like how do I have the most effective conversation with this individual in front of me? And then that's where you'll see mad close rates like 85%, 90%, like I've seen. No more skill. It's more just being very good at your process, your structure, and then the layering of that on top. Okay. All right. So that's a side quest from me. But Juan Carlos, did that answer your question? I hope.
Yes, it is. Thank you, Laura.
Okay. Yeah, my pleasure. So, yeah.
Last time you were showing us like which kind of questions apply to guys to align, right, the emotion with how to handle the statements or responses from them. And I was thinking like, yeah, I should probably, maybe I would like to do some flashcards and to have them more handy, right?
Well, what do you sell? What do you sell?
Insurance, life insurance, and financial
okay, cool.
advisory.
Yeah. So what you want to do, guys, as well, is like, you don't need to know all of them. Like, much like with your objections, every offer has its kind of core, most common objections, right? It's the same with offers. They often have a very core range of like emotional states that you'll encounter people in. So depending on what you sell, so I would say, for example, like any kind of insurance, you're likely to encounter a number of people who may be in a state of apathy when it comes to that area of their life, because it's not necessarily solving a problem now. It is about preventing a hypothetical problem in the future. And anything that is hypothetical and in the future, there's an emotional detachment from it. Okay. It's kind of like, I'll cross that bridge when I get to it. So the greatest challenge that we have is something like insurance. Is I need to get them to experience that now. I need to make that feel real now, so that it's not like there's no apathy anymore. It's like oh shit, I have to do something. Okay. If anyone sells any kind of offer that has anything to do with anxiety, like Max, for example, a lot of times people with gut issues will have like anxiety. Gut, anxiety go hand in hand. If you're ever encountering somebody with anxiety, just know you're going to get a fear objection. It's literally the definition of anxiety. Like, what if? So if you are not identifying that and using that as an opportunity to prevent a fear objection, that is just the biggest wasted opportunity ever. If you're in any kind of offer with ADHD people, we procrastinate. Pull that out of us. Pre-handle that, right? So it's like, if you can think about your offer and think about how people may be feeling about that area of their life, how they might be looking at that area of their life, then you can understand what the most common emotional states are that you'll encounter. And then you can just, much like objections, just focus one at a time. You can just, there might be some things that you include in your process moving forward that are just like non-negotiable. For example, when I was on a health-based offer, and it did help, there was a number of men that reached out with anxiety. Anytime I got in a call with a guy and I immediately recognized there was anxiety, always, well, hey man, I just want to say real quick, like, kudos to you. Since you're like a little bit nervous being here, like, I mean, that's what you've said. And like, I just think it's really cool that you've opted to take the steps to book a call to get, to actually look to get some help, because there's a lot of guys who feel exactly the same way. And in your opinion, like, what do? Yeah, they just like let the anxiety, they let the nerves hold them back. And I mean, where do they end up? Yeah, exactly. So I just want to say, like, it's really cool having a conversation with someone like yourself who, like, in spite of being a little bit nervous or a little bit hesitant, like, you're here and you're having this conversation. I mean, that's the definition of courage, you know what I mean? And I just anchor them immediately. See what I mean? So, all right, I'll jump to the next. Trayton, you got your hand up? How can I help?
Hey, how's it going? So I have a question about, I guess, showing empathy whenever someone gives you bad news. That's
Give me an
always been
example.
something that I've struggled with, and I
Are
don't
you a
know.
sociopath? I'm just kidding.
No, I don't think so. But
I'm just kidding.
I
What do you
mean, it's
sell? What do you
just
sell?
fitness. Yeah. So
Okay,
someone
what, give
someone
me
will
an
tell you
example of
that
bad
like,
news.
my dad had a heart attack.
Look, I'm sorry to hear that. Can I ask, like what, like when was that? What effect did that have on you? Like, do you feel like in any way, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, I don't have any more
Mhm.
context to the conversation, but this is a health-based conversation. And so
Right.
I don't know, are they sharing that because maybe you're asking, like, has something happened recently? What's caused you to feel like it might be, you know, it might be time to prioritize your health? Like, are you asking something like that and that's why they're sharing it? Or in, you know, maybe if you could think back to when someone said that, what was the context? And I can give you an example of what I would do.
Yeah, I mean, like the question that I'd asked before would usually be
Yeah.
like what caused you to
Yes.
feel like you needed to change something about this now?
Mm. Okay, perfect. So it's like they're like, oh well, you know, my dad had a heart attack. It's as simple as like, you don't have to get all weird about it. It's just like,
Hmm.
you know, well, I mean, treating them like I'm sorry to I'm sorry to hear that. Can I ask when was that? Let's role play. When was that?
It was about last year.
Last year? And I mean, like I don't want to assume anything. I imagine that was tough. What impact did that have on you?
You know, it just made me feel like that could possibly happen to me, you know, because I
Yeah,
haven't been taking
yeah,
care of my health recently. And
yeah. Okay. And like, what can I ask? Like, what is it about? I mean, no one wants to have a heart attack, but I mean, for you personally, what is it about the thought that like, oh man, like something like that might happen to me? What is it about that concerns you?
well, man, I want to stay, you know, around for like my
Yeah.
kids.
Why? Okay. How old are your kids?
I mean, they're all grown now. I mean,
Yeah.
they're in their, you know, late
How old is your
30s.
baby though? My mum says anyway. Right. Okay. So like, why? Like, if they're all grown now, then like, what's the reason that it's important to you to be around for them?
Well, you know, I know what it felt like, you know, to lose my
Mm,
parents,
yeah.
and you know,
What
I
what
want to be
what
here
did it
and
feel like?
support them. It's hard, you know,
Why?
because
Pardon?
you know, it's you know, losing somebody.
Yeah. Well, kudos to you, man, for you know putting yourself in a position where like you're willing to do maybe the hard, the unnecessary things to get the help you feel you need to ensure that your kids don't have to experience that hurt themselves, that hurt of losing you. They don't have to go through that hard because rather than just like kicking the can down the road like a lot of guys do, you know, because I mean no one wants to think about it, but inevitably like something will happen, you know, rather than kicking the can down the road like that. Like good on you for looking at it like, well, you know, it's on me, you know, like to own this and to do something about it. Like that's just it's really cool to have a conversation with someone who wants to be proactive like that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I mean, can I ask because you know I mean there's a difference between like saying that it's time to prioritize our health and do the things we need to do and actually doing them. Do you know what I mean? Like what's really driving the need for you at this point to get some help to get healthy rather than just like I don't know, maybe just like start thinking about it now and do something one day, maybe, you know what I mean? Like why now?
Um.
We can pull up there.
Yeah. I
Thoughts?
mean, yeah. I mean, that's really good. I don't know. I have a hard time with that. I mean, even coming up with how they'd be feeling. I don't know. I just can't
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah. Okay, so if I could make a recommendation, like, I mean, I feel like studying like having a look through those resources that I suggested would be helpful for you. Like, not to put you on the spot here, but would you describe yourself as like an emotional guy? You're in tune with your emotions, or maybe you are in tune with your emotions, but keeping it to yourself. Like, how would you describe yourself?
Yeah. I mean, I would say that you know I'm an emotional person, that I'm pretty
Yeah,
aware of my emotions.
yeah,
I think the biggest thing for me is I typically, like in my even in my own personal life, you know, when
yeah,
something bad happens, I'm just like, well, that's just the way the world is, you know, and I just kind of
yeah,
move
yeah,
past it. And
yeah. So then I would
it's
say
just
like
hard to.
it's just a practice thing. Do you know what I mean? Like I would say that you know at least initially when we start having sales conversations, do you know what I mean? They're sometimes they're quite personal, they're quite emotional. Like you know I've probably had more emotional conversations with random strangers on the internet than I've had with like a lot of my friends and family. And like at least initially it is just a little bit like you know maybe we don't know how to navigate it. I would say the empathy piece, like don't overcook it. It's just like I'm really sorry to hear that. Thank you for sharing that with me. I don't know if that's something that you share with people all too often. Um, what impact did that have on you? What was it about having gone through that that's causing you to maybe view your health differently? And you can just script it out too. So, because it doesn't really matter if someone says like, oh, my dad had a heart attack, or my brother had a stroke, or my sister has diabetes. Like, you can just approach it the exact same way. Do you know what I mean? And so if that's something that you're encountering often, like just script it out. And, you know, and that, like, you don't have to come up with something different on the spot. You don't have to, like, sometimes we feel obliged to be like, you know, I mean, in the context that you shared, it's appropriate. Yeah. But I don't have to go too much down the line of like, oh man, like, you know, sorry to hear that. It's just kind of like, I can empathize. Like, I'm sorry to hear that. I can thank them for sharing that with me, because it's openness, which is willingness, high level state. So I want more of that. Like, thank you for being so open and honest with me. If someone who's a little bit more unconfident, I can maybe add on, like, take some, like, I imagine it takes a little bit of courage to share that. Like, I don't know if that's something, it doesn't seem to me like that's something you maybe share all too often. Like, thank you for sharing that with me. It's a good opportunity to build some really solid rapport, but then I can just move on, just redirect it back like it fits the context of the conversation. You know, I would say that if it's like the start of the call and any of you are still don't do this, but being like, oh, how are you today? And they're like, oh man, I had the worst day ever. Then we can sometimes feel obligated to be like, oh, what happened? And we end up talking about nothing burgers. Don't do that. But even then, you can just be like, oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Like, you know, I mean, hopefully chatting to me today makes it better. You know what I mean? And then I can move on. Like, you don't have to get caught in the weeds, but like, I think you're overthinking it a little bit too, Trayton. It's just like, oh man, I'm sorry to hear that. Thanks for sharing that with me. You know, what is it about that makes you want to do something about your health? Why? How come? That's it. And that's their reason. That's really good. If you're getting responses like that, that's really good, because now you're having an identity conversation. You know, like, what is it about having gone through that? Like, you know, I mean, it might be like an obvious question. No one wants to have a heart attack, right? But like, I mean, for you personally, what is it about that you want to avoid? Why? Because like, there's plenty of people out there who are unhealthy and at heart attack risks on a daily basis. They're doing sweet F all about their health. So how come you don't want to just be like that? Oh, well, for my kids. What about them? I want to be around for them. Like, why? There's plenty of dads that aren't. Do you know what I mean? I always err on, because we make a lot of assumptions in sales. I always err on the fact that, like, there's always someone, nothing's obvious. Assume nothing. Yeah. I could be like, well, why do you want to be around for your kids? And they're like, oh, well, isn't it obvious? It's like, well, I mean, there's plenty of dads out there that aren't. And they're kind of like, oh, yeah, I guess you're right. So now it's not a stupid question anymore, is it? So me saying, like, why don't you want to have a heart attack? At face value, silly question. But it's like, there are plenty of people out there who, I don't know, maybe earlier today you got told by a doctor, oh, you need to sort your health out. You're going to die of a heart attack. And they just like walk out of the office, walk out of the doctor's office and go straight to McDonald's. Do you know what I mean? So like, how come that experience has caused you to actually want to do something when people have experiences like that every day and do nothing? How come? That's interesting to me. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, I see what you mean. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
For sure.
And that's how you can ask every obvious question that there is, and it's not obvious anymore. It's just like, master your assumptions and help them to master them as well. Because they might be assuming like, oh, well, isn't that what everyone would do? Surprisingly, no, it's not.
Yeah,
like,
I was thinking it was a lot more complicated than it
you
actually
were,
was.
yes.
Yeah.
That's
that makes
most of
sense.
what getting better at sales is like overcomplicating things, right? But just don't overcomplicate it, dude. And if it's something that's just not coming quite naturally to you yet, like I suggested, just script it out a little bit, and then you're sweet. You can just have the exact kind of same conversation every single time, and you can take what you're overthinking and what feels a little bit complicated and just make it easy.
That's perfect. Thank you.
Go nail it. You got this. All right. Is it Lucio? Sorry, I probably butchered that. You there? Lucio?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
How can I help?
Yeah, I was saying, yeah, it's Lucio. Perfect. Much like to say Lucio just to mess with me, but that's okay.
So Lucio, is it? Lucio,
perfect.
Lucio? Okay, good to meet you. How can I help?
Pleasure. Yeah, first, thank you for the time and experience for sharing. It's wonderful. Good. Now, I wanted to do two little questions. First, how would you abroad a couple that, for example, it happened to me last week that I had a person that was going through multiple surgeries, that was going through overweight, had multiple different medication, like 15, and she, like, you could tell in her voice that she was desperate. She was in a path that she didn't feel good with, and she, throughout the pitch and the questions and the presentation of the solution, she was just going, oh, thank you.
Yeah.
You know, the price was the difficult part. You know, I'm with comedic coaches with Caden from Cat Health, but it's also, you know, John Payne, blah blah blah. and the husband was the one that took over when the price was there.
Mhm.
And the
Mhm.
husband definitely wanted to help, and like it was a good call. He ended up thanking me for my time, for my work,
Yep.
but he couldn't move forward because of price, and it
Yep.
was definitely fear based.
Okay. So couple things here. Like, so with couples, if you're ever speaking to a couple, you have to figure out really quickly who needs to be sold. So if we spend all our time on the woman, for example, she's sold. Okay. Although there is something to that I will add. But like, if I spend all my time kind of having a conversation with her, then I'm going to encounter what you encountered, which is like, I didn't sell the person that actually needed selling. And so what I need to make sure that I do is like, if I recognize that there's someone on the call, like that really wants it, the other is a bit more closed off, more reserved, etc. It's like, I need to make sure that I involve them in the conversation. And there's a couple of ways I'm going to do that. I can ask them questions directly. So like, I don't know, maybe the lady sharing how this has affected her or what have you. You can ask, like, John, I mean, from your perspective, like, how have you noticed Mary's health impact her the worst? Well, what effect, if any, has this maybe had on your relationship, or seeing Mary struggle with X, Y, Z? Like, how's that causing you to feel? So, and I want to involve and get that person opened up. Okay. And then the other aspect of it is have like Mary, for example, Mary sell him. Yeah, where Mary might share how she's feeling. And again, it's kind of like, John, like, how does it, like, have you heard Mary like say that before? How does it feel hearing her to say that? Man, you must be, I mean, you, and I can do things as well. Like, kudos to you for being here. Do you know what I mean? The fact that you're here having this conversation with Mary, I mean, that says a lot about you as a husband. Like, that tells me that, I mean, you're here because you want Mary to be in the best position to be able to resolve this, to better her health. Like, it's really cool to have a conversation with, I mean, typically I'm speaking with just like individuals and their partners over there going, look into it. And yeah, maybe we'll do something. But like, it's really cool that you're actually here. It tells me that you really, really want Mary to get help with this.
Yeah.
Like, that's cool. Like, and you can ask, like, have you always been that kind of husband? Or like, where does that desire to make sure Mary gets the help she needs? Like, where does that come from? He's going to sell himself now and being that kind of husband. Okay. What that does then is he's less likely to resist at the end, because it creates incongruence. If he buys in on being that kind of husband, he's much less likely to be the opposite of that at the end of the call. It's going to feel incongruent, and humans do not like being incongruent.
Would you do it?
Does that make sense?
Outbound, not inbound?
Pardon?
Would you do it even if you are outbounding, like calling them out of nowhere?
Yeah, you still can. Like, I mean, it depends. I would alter the language depending on the context of the conversation. Like, even if it is outbound, and maybe Mary wasn't expecting this call and John happens to be there, and he's part of the conversation. Like, I could still say that. I could just alter my language to be like, John, I just want to say real quick as well, it's cool that, I don't know, I'm sure you're in the middle of something when I called, right? It's cool that you've kind of stopped what you're doing and you've joined Mary for the conversation. Like, that says a lot about you. So do you see what I mean? I can just alter what I say to match the context of like the conversation. Does that make sense?
Yeah, perfect sense.
Yeah. So yeah, those are the key lessons there for talking to couples.
Yeah, and it's super helpful, by the way, because it was crazy. It was a very good call, and it was only about logistical, and I tried to nail it down as much as I could, and like, they wanted to do it, but there was something, and it's the fear, which is the second question that I wanted to do. How do you, because in my offer, I'm working with a lot of senior citizens and people in disability and things like that. There's a lot of fear on actually committing to something financially. So how do you do it downstream instead of upstream?
Well, like, I mean, it depends. It's like, I always just try to understand, like, fear of what, like, is it fear of, well, if we put the money into this, like, are we going to be able to keep a roof over our head or pay our bills? Or is it, if we put the money into this, is it like something unknown might come around the corner, we might not have the funds for it? Like, usually it's so I want to understand, like, is it that the money's there and they're afraid to use it? Is it that the money isn't there, but also if there's some there and they're afraid to use that? Like, you just gotta, just like, I think a lot of us just tiptoe around a lot, and it's just starting with like, well, hey, like, I appreciate you being like open and honest with me about, your financial situation. And like, just so you're aware, like, it's super common. Do you know what I mean? Like, I speak to 30, 40 people every week in exactly the same position, like, people we help are people just like you. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, so first thing I do is always like normalize it. I don't want, I won't, if I share, if I share the screen, screen really quickly again. I don't want shame. Shame is a very, very, guys, very unproductive emotion.
Yeah.
I can't figure out how to share my screen again.
They just want to hide it away.
But yeah, so like, yeah, so I normalize that because I don't want that getting in the way. I want them to be like, oh, okay, cool, no big deal. And then the next stage to that is just ask the questions. You know what I mean? Is it like, can I ask? Because like, I want to help if I can. Is it more a case of make sure you tie that value, obviously, like, can I ask, like money aside, like if that wasn't a concern, would you do it? And I'm looking for emphatic yes, like, oh, for sure, yeah, absolutely, like we would, like, you know what I mean? Get that out of the way. And then from there, it's like, okay, I mean, can I ask, like, is it more, because I want to help, is it more a case of the money's there, but you're just feeling a little bit like it'd leave you a bit tight, you're just a bit feeling a little bit uncertain about the finances, or is it more a case of it's not all there, or is it a case of like just none of it's there? Like, what can you just help me to understand the situation, I guess, like just as it is, no judgment for me, just to see if I can help. Okay, just make them feel comfortable to like lay their cards out. Okay, like you're like, look, whether you do this or not isn't my concern. Like I want to help. You know what I mean? Right? And once they lay their cards out, then it's just a solving of problem. You know what I mean? And if there is fear there, it's like, well, hey, like I totally get it. You know what I mean? Can I, just so I understand, like what's behind the fear, what's behind the uncertainty? Like what are you worried about? Okay, and if it's like, oh, well, what if something, I don't know, like something comes up and we need money for it or this or that, it's kind of like I just want to then help them to see that, like, yeah, I mean, that could happen. Do you know what I mean? But like, I guess it, oftentimes, regardless, like the fear is going to be there because, I mean, have you considered, like, I mean, what if Mary does nothing about this? Like, what might be around the corner then? Like, and where might that leave you guys? Like those kinds of medical expenses, or, I mean, God forbid, no one wants to talk about it, but like, it's a reality. Like, what if something worse happens? And now you're looking back going, man, like we could have done something, but like we didn't because, we wanted to make sure that the creditors were paid or the utility company was paid. Like, screw them, man. This is your life, like, and so like, I don't want to take away the fact that like, it is a little bit scary. I get it. I can see that and I can empathize with that. But like, at the end of the day, like, this is your, your quality of life that we're talking about. Is this really how you want to live out the rest of your years, like feeling like this? Is, you want to live out the rest of your years, John, seeing Mary like this? Like, is this the quality of the relationship that you guys like want? You know what I mean? And just I think when there's fear there, helping them to realize that like there's always something to be afraid of. And it can be fear of like unexpected expenses or this or that. It could be fear though as well of like losing his life partner or of something worse happening, and like now she's got zero quality. Like, you know what I mean? It's like sometimes you just got to choose what to be afraid of. So sometimes when I can get an understanding what the person's afraid of, it's just about helping them to realize that the fear is going to be there either way, and they just get to decide like what to be more afraid of. You know what I mean? And also sometimes the extrapolating it out. So being like, all right, look, suppose something came around the corner. Like, what would you do? Have there been times where something unexpected happened, expense-wise? Like, what happened? Okay, I mean, you're still here now. So it seems like you figured it out. Like, you did all right. And helping them to see, like, oh, yeah, okay, I guess, like, we have navigated situations like this before. And it's kind of like, all right, I mean, if you've navigated situations like that before, is there any reason why you couldn't navigate that again should it happen? And they're like, I guess, yeah, no, I guess that's true. Like, all right, sweet. Like, at the end of the day, I can walk at my front door tomorrow and get hit by a bus. There's no guarantees in life. It's about putting yourself in the absolute best position, get the outcomes you want, to have the quality of life that you want. Like, it just comes down to like, what do you want? What's more important? Does that help?
Super helpful. The main takeaways that it took is shift the perspective on the bills that are actually valuable, that are the most important. Normalize the fear to kill the shame.
And problem solve it with them. If it is a real life expense, it's like, okay, cool. How can we figure this out? How can we find a way to where like we can do both? I've had conversations with people where one of the reasons was like, oh, I've got this utilities. Brandon, don't bounce if you don't have to, because I'll get to you in a sec. But like, I've had situations with like, oh, I've got this utilities bills and a creditor and this and that. I connected her with someone in health insurance to get her a better deal on her insurance. I encouraged her to contact the creditor because I was like, you're freaking 65. Like, what's the worst that happens if you miss some credit card payments? Do you know what I mean? Like, what would you rather? Like, your credit card's paid on time, or like you can tie up your shoelaces again? You can go out with friends again. And she's like, oh, I'd much rather that. It's like, sweet. So call them and just be like, I'm in financial hardship. Like, give me a month, like there's a lot of laws in place with things like that, where if someone's like, I'm struggling, they can't be complete assholes. And so, yeah, I encouraged her to call them and like buy some time on a couple of those things. And she did it. And got in. Look, at the end of the day, it just comes down to then how badly the person wants it. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can't force someone to want it. Sometimes people just go, it's all too hard. And, but if you've got someone that is like, I'm in, it's like, sweet, do you want to figure this out together? And you just take the time and you figure it out with them. And yeah, it's really cool when that happens.
Yeah.
But not everyone. It's not going to work for everyone. Some people they just want to stay where they are. We're not here to.
You can solve everyone.
We're here to facilitate change, not force change. All right, I got to bounce. Lucia, hopefully you got what you needed. Brandon, appreciate your patience.
Thank you.
How can I help, Brandon?
Hey, how's it going? So my sales process is a little bit different than a lot of what you guys do on training. So that's why I signed up to see if I could possibly get some different help. So I have 2 leads. One, we go and door knock, and the door knockers go set the appointment for me. I show up. 9 times out of 10, they don't think they have a problem. I sell pest control installation. So I try to diffuse them at the beginning and just say, hey, yeah, I'm not expecting to find anything. If I do, I'll take some pictures and show you. When I come down and trying to do the problem awareness aspect of it, there's like, well, yeah, you just told me this problem. I don't know if it's a problem I got to deal with.
Yeah. Okay, I can help you out with this. All right, so what you need to do first is, like, whatever inspection you do will give you the foundation for an effective problem awareness. So at the beginning of your problem awareness, it's just going to be more like, what have you guys noticed, if anything? Have you noticed anything? Is there any of your neighbors mention like they've noticed anything? And it might be kind of pretty dead end. It might be like, nope, not much. Like, okay, cool, well, good to hear. I don't really expect that I'll find anything. So if you can give me like 10, 15, what I'll do is I'll kind of like crawl around, get my knees dirty, have a look around, and like, again, not expecting to find anything. But if I do, like I said, I'll take some pictures and I'll show you. And pending all is good, we can high five, we can part ways. If not, like, I can just kind of walk you through what I find. You go do your thing. And now, all right, now is where it gets good. Like, sit down, whatever it is that you do. And it's like, so, now I don't want to concern you, right? Like it makes sense that you guys haven't noticed anything. But I was just like poking around a bit. There are a couple things that I've noticed. I just feel like you might want to be like aware of. Do you want me to kind of walk you through like what I've seen? Okay. Now it's going to be like kind of education mixed with problem awareness. So it might be like, yeah, so like, see this photo here where there's kind of like, face value, you don't notice anything, like bit of a trail. Like, have you guys seen that before? You haven't. Do you know what that's from? You don't. Okay, so what that's from is this. Do you know much about that kind of ant at all? Oh, you don't? Do you want me to tell you a little bit about them and like, why it might be worth knowing about them? Okay, cool. What those ants do is they're super sneaky. They do this, and not such a big deal like initially, but like over time, and when there's more of them, what that can lead to is this. Does anyone mention that to you? Oh, no. Okay, so knowing that, like, are you like, I mean, how do you feel sort of knowing that? Oh, well, yeah, I mean, that is a bit concerning. Oh, is it? Why is that? What is it about that? I can see what we're doing. So yeah, don't be afraid, because remember, they're not problem aware. So problem awareness.
Fighting crazy.
Like, think about it, it's problem awareness. So if there's no problem awareness is going to fall pretty flat. So what you're doing is you're like, think of yourself like a marketing ad. Okay, I'm fat and I'm scrolling Facebook, and then I see an ad that's like, are you overweight and you're unhappy and you hate yourself and I'm like, oh my God, that's me. You're the ad, right? But you're going to go away and it's a personalized ad to them. And now you're coming back with the marketing ad and you're making them problem aware. Okay. So now once you make them problem aware, the next step is like, all you have to figure out is like, all right, well, like, if it's not a problem to them, it's not a problem. So that's why I'm starting to ask questions about, how do you feel about that? Does that concern you? Or are you just like, man, not really too, but it does concern you. Why is that? Okay. So now I want to understand, now I've made you aware of this problem. How do you feel about it? Do you want to do something about it? And then you G from there. So don't move on from problem awareness until you get a sense that like they give a shit.
Yeah.
Where they're like, oh yeah, man, like actually damn, actually, now that you mentioned that, I did notice that, but I just didn't think much of it. Like, yeah, okay. Right. And now we're manufacturing something. And once you get that sense of they do give a shit, they care. Right now now it's kind of like I don't know, what I personally might do is some kind of permission where it's like, all right, well, I mean, now that you're aware of it and it seems to me like you care, like, would it be helpful if maybe I just kind of talk you through some possible ways that we might be able to like eradicate the ants so you guys don't end up with like any kind of like structural damage that's going to cost you guys an arm and a leg kind of down the track? Like, would that be helpful if I, I've got a bit of time between next appointment. Would that help you if I kind of did that for you? Like, okay, sweet. That's what I would do.
Love it.
Because then they're leaning in. Then they're going to be like, oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, you've got the time. Yeah, like, well, yeah. Can you tell us, like, what do you guys normally do in this kind of instance?
Yeah, I think that little adjustment's going to be huge because when I first got trained, now I train everyone. They would come down and they just throw up on the customer. Yeah, you got this trail right here, and there's all like fear. And then I noticed that the customer's like, you're just trying to scare me. So I stopped, and what I do is I come down, like, yeah, you have some concerning things going on the other. You got somewhere we can sit down, but you're saying don't do that. You're saying frame
Well,
it slightly different.
I'm saying do it, but I'm saying like don't lean in so hard because if
Right.
I'm like think about it at a bar, like if you're leaning in real hard on a gal or a guy, I don't care, right? You know, you're leaning real hard in on someone. What are they doing? They're leaning out. They're like, right? So, but what happens like what happens if you lean out? It's like, you know, there's that joke that girls love assholes and whatever.
Yeah,
It's because like they lean out. So
Quality
we
hang out.
lean in. Yeah. So you just lean out more where it's like same thing where they rock up and they're like, oh no, we've got no issues. It's like, oh yeah, you know, like I wouldn't expect that you would.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, or it's like, or it might be like, no, I don't have to. You know, I don't know. Maybe you guys just aren't too concerned about the ants or like whatever. Maybe you know what I mean. Like, but if it would help, I can. You know, I've got a little bit of time before next appointment. I can walk you through some ways you might be able to fix it. I don't know. It's up to you though. You're leaning out, and so then they're going to lean in more, where they're like, oh yeah, okay, well yeah, no, yeah, we would maybe want to hear about that. Oh, okay, are you sure? I don't have to. Like, and they're like, no, yeah, that would be good. It's okay if you're sure. So yeah, just lean out more, and people will lean into you.
Yeah, I love it.
And have fun, like make people laugh. Like people want to talk to people that they like. Where they're like, I like this guy. He's funny. Like I like him. Yeah. Tell me what's going on. Yeah, right. Like people love that.
Love it. Thank you.
Does that help? Let me know how that goes.
I love it. Yeah, thanks.
Be funny. Like shit on yourself a bit. You know, self-deprecating humor. Right. Like
There's some examples because like my concern with doing stuff like that too much is like I just told them they have cancer basically in their attics, you know, and so it's like
No,
you know,
keep it light. You know, try some things on. Just play it pretty safe. But self-deprecating humor is a good one where it might be like you know, I mean, if it help, I can sit down and kind of talk you through some ways that we've kind of help other clients with this. I mean, you guys might be looking at me thinking I don't know what I'm talking about, which would be fair because you know my partner says all the time I don't know what I'm talking about, right? Like ha. You know, like just little like things like that you can reset.
Like, hey, don't judge me, but I know feces. Like I know what's old, what's new, you know, little things like that.
yeah, things like that, right? Like you know now, like exactly. That's funny. If someone said to me like, now don't judge me, but like one of my best qualities is I know a lot about feces, right? I would laugh. It'd be funny. I would think that would be funny, and yeah, I like people like people that are funny. I like laughing. You know, make them feel good. Having people buy.
Of course.
So yeah, strip that out a little bit and just like try it on. Like I'd recommend you try some of this stuff on the role plays to get like comfortable, to get some feedback with it, and then yeah, just like launch it on the doors.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you.
All right. Okay, guys. I hope that helps. I'll see you all next week. Bye.
Oh my god, that was fucking... Okay. The rest of the... Oh, nothing. Fathom being Fathom, I guess. Oh my god, that was very helpful, actually. I took some notes. It was on 1 hour. Took some notes. I'm gonna rewatch some stuff. I'm gonna work with AI as well about this. Can I pause this somehow? Yes, I can pause and come back to this. Okay, so let me pause. Okay, we are back. Okay, let's use a stopwatch maybe or a timer. Let's use a timer. Okay, 45 minutes. Let's go for another block, focused block. Okay, so basically now, okay, we have this. There are a lot of videos. That's why I'm not. You know, there's tons of videos. Like for now, no need to go in the members and stuff like that. For now, it's crazy though. It's the value is insane actually. Okay, after I'm done with this, let's take the transcript. Think like this. Where's the transcript? Here. Maybe I take the transcript. So this is what we'll do. We'll take the transcript. This is what we'll do. We'll take the transcript here. Then you go in here, and then you go in here. That's in Greek, by the way, and not here. Sales. Where the fuck is sales? All about sales. Sales here. Let's make another folder. Sales 7. Okay. And here in this folder, we'll do it like this. We'll paste a transcript. Okay, that's bad. What's happening? No, no. That's fighting what? Okay, let's paste the transcript. Is this done? No. Take the transcript, paste the transcript. Great. Take this one and change the title. What the fuck? Ooh, 48 pages. Okay. It's lagging like fuck. This. Now, you take the transcript. No, you take this and you download it as PDF. Let's try it this way, okay? I'm not a guru here. Fuck the gurus. I'm someone who tries and fails and tries and fails and does and fails again probably, but it's okay. I'm gonna be here until I win. Download it please as a PDF. I think it's done. Nice, it's done. So now we go to Gemini and we do this. Okay, Gemini, you are Matt Ryder basically. A top sales expert in codes. I'm gonna give you a PDF, and then what I want, what I need from you. Change want into a need. Reframing myself here. What I need from you is to give me the questions that the coach used. Coach, what's your name? What's the name of the coach? This amazing coach, Laura Brust, I don't know. Laura is fighting amazing, by the way. Coach Laura, and what to say and how to say it. Give it with bullet points. Keep it very short and precise. Now we give the PDF. Desktop. Where the fuck is it? Maybe downloads? Yes. Nice. Let's see. Let's see what happens here. Let's see what happens here. Magnesium from cocoa is the best. Okay, price resistance, the why now, identity conversation. Nice. Let's take this. Let's take this now and fuck this shit, delete, paste this shit. One page. From price. Okay, shift their focus actually this. nice. Actually fighting nice. Actually fighting nice. I have my own here. From my notes, masks require effort to wear. Relaxed. Let's start. It's a game. Okay. Oven reframe, actually fighting insane. Oven reframe. And cake. Do not reinvent the wheel. Example with mother and her kid trapped under something. Resourcefulness. There's a cost in either way. Map of consciousness, actually insane. Actually insane. Dodson and Hawkins. Thoughts, emotions, actions. The external is always a mirror of the internal. Ask questions, influence emotional state. Are you actually willing? Willing. 310. Devil and angel. But do it anyway. Experience, make them experience the breeze now. Now, X apathy. Thank you for sharing that with me and open and honest. Don't. That's something you usually share. No one wants X, but for you personally, because there are a lot of guys. How come? Yeah. Always normalize to avoid same. It's pretty common. There is always fear. Decide. Help them decide which one to choose. No guarantees. Bus drive or you tomorrow. What do you want? What do you want? What's more important to you? Adelante. At the end of the day is how bad you want it. Stay good. How bad you want it? How can I help you? Drive you through the process well. Help you through the process. Concern you. But I don't want to concern you, but blah blah blah. I don't want to concern you, but X. Now, if you want, I can tell you tomorrow. If not, that's cool as well. As well. Lean out. Would it be helpful if agreement and then educate? I'm gonna make it with bold. Fuck. Here. Bold and something else, I don't know, like this. And underscore, yes. Maybe it's not important for you. Don't laugh, but make them laugh. Basically use negatives and then but. I fucking love this. I'm gonna try this live today. All people. I fucking love, that's why I love I fucking love sales, because it's just psychology. That's it. Basically that's it. And we overcomplicate it. And we fucking go overcomplicate. Okay. And that's a great start. Anything else to add? Any questions or any tips that you got from the coach? Keep it very simple and short and precise. Okay, let's see. Let's take this. Nope. Let's take this. And let's do this. And this here, let's make it like this. Not like this, like this. Not like this, like this. Not like this, like this. Nice. Okay. So basically, core questions and frameworks. Instead of just asking about the problem, ask questions that force an identity shift. Okay, why don't you want to just be like the plenty of people who do nothing about it? Why don't you want to just be like the people who do nothing about it? Right? If I say that 100 times, it's gonna be natural. Okay. What is it about that experience that caused you to? What is it about that experience that actually caused you to want to do something? When people they have experiences like that every day and they do nothing. The less I say, the better, because there is a lower chance to fuck it up. Especially, I don't know, with my level of English, because sometimes I forget how to speak, basically. Okay. Nice. So now I'm gonna take everything and I'm gonna give it. Okay, from all this, make me a list of questions. Just a numbered list. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Not and when to use its number. No fluff, no comments. Let's see what Gemini produces here. Come on, my friend. Come on, Gemini. You got this, mate. Ooh. This one. I choose this one. This one. Keep it nice and short and simple. Fuck yes. Fuck yes. Where is it? This goes on the top. No, basically 10 take away questions. Boom, perfect. This goes like 1. This goes like this. I don't know, like what's really driving the need for you at this point to get help, rather than just thinking about it and doing something one day. So basically, this is the why now. Basically, why now? Why don't you just want to? Why don't you want to just be like the plenty of people who do nothing about it? Why do you want to just be like the plenty of people who do nothing about it? Okay, when we see apathy and move them out of it. Why did I here open the window because it's so fucking hot in here? Okay. What is it? Here. Okay. In the past 12 months, what has this cost you in terms of opportunities, experiences, or memories? How much longer are you willing to pay that price? Use to pivot from financial cost to the life cost of staying the same. Okay, staying the same. Either way, there is a price to pay. Okay, it just comes down to which one you're willing to pay. Which one is it? Use to force a choice between the cost of the solution and the cost of the problem. Okay, let's suppose this ticks all of the boxes. Okay, even if maybe money is a concern, are you at least willing to put yourself in a resourceful state where you're willing to go, where you're just willing to go and committed to finding a way to make it work? Like, this is too much I know, a bit fluff for me because this fighting limiting beliefs that I'm not good in English. Like, maybe I'm not the best, for sure I'm not the worst. And I'm here, I'm doing this, I'm exposing myself, I'm putting myself out there on the line. So fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. Let's do this. Can you just help me to understand the situation as it is? Just to see if I can help. I'm not a judge here, okay? I'm just a normal guy trying to help you. Trying to see if I can help you, because maybe I can't. Okay, so let's go. What is it about that experience that caused you to actually want to do something when people have experiences like that every day and do nothing? Used to validate their pain and anchor them to the specific motivation. Okay, I don't want to concern you, but I don't want to, but negative plus but is to make them do the negative. For example, the negative can be a playful thing though. I don't want, okay, don't laugh on me here, but they're gonna laugh on you here. Basically, using negative language is something that you can use it. It's a tool, okay? If you're conscious about it, it's a fighting tool. Would it be helpful if I sat down and talked you through some ways we've helped other clients with this? Of course, if it's not helpful, that's okay with me. Maybe it's not so important to you. Okay, this is for the lean out. Fuck, what did here? This for the another lean out. Cool, actually fighting cool. Okay, so this is how I got one, and I'm gonna rename this to one. One. Yeah, just one. In total, because let's say I'm doing like 2 or 3 or 4 maybe per day maximum. Like I can see how many I've done, but in total, yeah, it's not so easy to track. So yeah, this is gonna be one. Fighting love this girl, fighting love this woman, like no girl, she's over 30. She said that anyway. So much training. The thing is, like, this video is fighting great, by the way. Okay, let's do this. Let's go, Laura. That was fighting amazing. Let's go here.
This is part 2 of a 8-hour objection handling video. So this was an 8-week objection handling course where we do advanced role plays, objection prevention, objection handling, all that kind of good stuff. And it's designed to be watched as a whole. So it's all the things stack on top of each other. So if you haven't gone and watched part 1, then watch this video or go back and watch part 1. You have to watch it in order.
Where is the part 1, man? Where is part 1? I think this is it. Objection handling, maybe.
If you've ever been left at the end of a sales call and you get an objection or a concern, you just don't know what to do, then this video is for you. This is part 1 of an 8-part series where I went in depth over 8 weeks with a bunch of people on how to handle objections. Time, money, think about it, partner, everything, pre-handling, you name it, objection cycling, everything that you could possibly think of. And it's extremely in-depth with real-life role plays, examples, all different industries. So enjoy part 1 of the 8-part series, totally free course on how to handle objections. So what we're going to be talking about today is like objections overall, right? I'm going to break down kind of where they come from, what they are, but the baseline hierarchy of importance of how.
I'm confused. I'm fighting confused. I'm fighting confused, so...
But you really do want to watch objection handling, all that kind of good stuff, and it's designed to be watched as a whole. So it's all the things stack on top of each other. So if you haven't gone and watched part 1, then watch this video or go back and watch part 1. You don't have to watch it in order, but you really do want to watch them all together because a lot of the concepts kind of ripple in between each other. In this video, I go through that pretty in detail. It's part 2 of
5 months ago. Like, I guess fuck resolutions. What the fuck am I doing? Coach Aaron, my goat. My goat. Let's continue with this. Okay, let's
how you should be thinking about
first one.
objections,
Okay.
and then some of the basic do's and don'ts. So my point of today is to sort of cover as much as humanly possible, and then from there, just give you guys an opportunity to walk away from this session knowing kind of how the overarching structure works, and then from there have some good takeaways, and also go over from a personality standpoint how you can figure out how you can figure out what you should be doing and how you should be handling certain things, because your personality and whether you're really forthright or whether you're more leaned out will play a large role in how you attack sales. Okay, so the easiest way to so objections are just concerns, right? And they are completely reasonable and valid. And one of the largest problems that I see within salespeople is that they will default to objections that are sort of outside of their control. So a lot of them will go to fear-based objections, and they'll go to all these kind of like weird things, right? And in reality, it's sort of just like coping mechanisms for people who just couldn't sort of overcome objections. You know what I mean? Like, oh, like that person had a bad mindset. Oh, that person had bad fear. They're a bad lead. All right. So the first thing you must realize when it comes to getting good at objections is there is nothing that you can say or do that will make somebody do something. You cannot make them buy. You don't have that kind of power and authority over them. And so like what that does is you like that's what detaching from the sale is. It's not that like you don't need the commissions, it's that you cannot make them buy, right? And as soon as you kind of realize that, then you stop getting frustrated with people. Frustration is the main reason why people can't overcome objections, because they don't know quite how to articulate themselves. They think that they know what's best for the person, okay? And then from there, you think that like through some sort of verbal wizardry, you can make someone do something. That's just not the case, okay? So we'll break that down into a couple of things. First of all, like you don't know what's best for them. I guarantee you just don't know. You might have an inkling and you might have a passionate thought, but you don't know. And you have to release yourself of that. Otherwise, handling objections consistently is very difficult because there's always an element of venom behind what you say, and there's an intent behind what you say. Whereas if all you're doing is curiously going through and asking questions, okay, then it's, you know, it's quite difficult for you to sound, right? It's quite difficult for you to sound frustrated. It's like, oh, okay, well, like, help me understand that, such and such. And so you don't end up in this like combative environment. And you can get away with asking a lot of quite pointy questions, but because the intent is not designed for you to go, I know it's best, I need to get you over here, okay? Like, that doesn't go well with people. You're looking at people's life through a 45-minute keyhole, and you have very little context over what's going on. And so the thought that you know what's best for them after such a short period of time is a very egotistical way of looking at the world. Okay? And so once you let that go, you start to sort of like loosen up a little bit, and you start to connect better with the prospect. And also you stop putting an expectation on yourself that like you have to close every deal, because the outcome is very much out of your control. What you're looking to do in sales and objection handling is become consistent. Okay? I've used this analogy a lot, but if I'm shooting a gun, right? Because I used to be a sniper, right? If I'm shooting a gun and a random gust of wind comes and moves the bullet off course, I didn't do anything wrong. So I have no adjustments to make. So if I then make an adjustment off that and the gust goes away because it was random, I'm going to miss. Now I've done something to miss. And that's a lot of the time the kind of feedback loops that people get into. And so they don't know how, they just need to do a thing consistently. Your whole job is to minimize variables. Okay? So the way that I teach objections is to sort of ignore a little bit of what the prospect says, right? And follow a process. Now, you're going to listen to them, but a lot of the time you're listening to way too much of what they're saying because they're giving you 10 different things at once and you're trying to handle all of them at once, and you can't really do it that way effectively. And so what we want to do is we want to like let that ego go. Just understand that like you don't know what's best for them and that you can't wizard them into doing so, right? What you can do is learn a process that creates consistent and predictable answers from your prospects, and then learn how to probe on the answers that give you the best chance of being able to get them to convince themselves to do something. Okay? And if you make 10 sales in a row, you are the same sales rep as if you then make 10 no sales in a row. Congratulations, you closed at 50%. Okay? If you're a 30% closer, which would be good, okay, 7 out of 10 say no. So those no's shouldn't affect us, and you shouldn't be frustrated at the people who say no. Sometimes they just don't have the money. And a lot of the time, when someone has like a fear-based objection, it's just a lack of value proposition, okay? All right, cool. So first things first, hierarchy of objections. There are many different types. Money logistical is always the hierarchy. That is the most important objection because it is the objection 90% of the time. Okay? So like if they want to go away and think about it, what do they want to go away and think about? Anyone want to type in the chat? All right? They want to think about spending the money. If they want to go and talk to their partner, what do they want to talk to their partner about? Spending the money. Okay? Okay? So if it's a timing thing, it's going to be around, do I have the money right now? Okay, so it always comes down to money. That's the most common objection, and it's the one that I think people spend the least amount of time on. Okay, and so the first principle is that we want to like just remove the objection. Okay, so money aside, right? Do you feel like this would be the answer? Okay, so money aside. Now, when it comes to objections, when it comes to sales in general, people use a lot of extra filler words. I want you guys to really practice over this next 8 weeks of using as minimal words as possible. Every single word is an opportunity for you to fuck up the intention of your word. Okay, so if I add in random words, right, it adds a layer of complexity to that sentence of which the interpretation of the meaning can be muddled. If I say money aside, do you feel like this would be the answer? It's a very clear and easy question to answer. If I say, okay, so what I'm hearing you say is that money right now might be an issue. So if we were to, I guess, remove that, right, and money was not the issue, do you feel like what we're doing would be the best for you? It's like, it's fucking word salad, okay? And like it's just, all it does is like it leaves tons of variables open for interpretation, and people can take the meaning that they want. Okay, if I say, why is that important to you now though? And if I say, why is that important to you now though? And if I go, why is that important to you now though? Okay, first one, neutral, you pick the meaning. Second one, tangible, that you will say. Last one, you will answer in terms of time frame. Okay, like you just will about 90% of the time. Okay, and so the slight inflection, pacing, and pausing and tonality shifts that we do within a sentence will have a large impact on how that person derives that the actual answer. Okay, all right, but we want softeners, Matt, maybe possibly likely, etc. Well, maybe. You know, that's the answer. Okay. So if you guys have never been involved in coaching before, I am not a big fan of definitives. Okay. So I'm going to answer this question because it's a good question. Softeners. Okay. Like possibly. So neutral words. Neutral words are only good if you're neutral words are best if you're a forthright person. Okay. If you are someone who is leaned out and very like passive as a person, okay, and maybe soft spoken, you will sound like you don't know what you're talking about. Forthright means, okay, I'll give you an example. Raise your hand or put a me in the chat and be honest. Yeah, and because there's not a good or a bad here, okay? There's no good or bad. Put a me in the chat if you will tell someone to get out of a line if they cut. Right? Right? Me. And again, it's not a good thing or a bad thing, okay? If you would, then you're probably more forthright. You're probably someone who is more pushy in general, okay? So neutral language is likely to be good for you. Put a 1 in the chat if you're someone who would never do that. Now, again, that's not a bad thing because if everyone was like that, it'd be horrible. Okay. So if you're like that, then chances are neutral language will make you sound like a okay. Which means that like when it comes down to like pitching, you sort of might not sound like you know what you're talking about and you don't have the confidence and conviction. Okay. And so there's a slider there. You know, generally speaking, more definitive terms towards the end is probably better, right? Like being much more competent and forthright towards the end, okay? But if you're putting in, you don't need to put in like qualifiers like that, you know, maybe possibly might be when you're in objection handling because like the whole point of those things is to like, hey, I'm not a sales rep, right? Like it's like, I'm not a sales rep, okay? You've pitched, you've asked for money, right? So like that's gone. And now we're in a very tactical sort of part of it where we need to get them to convince themselves. And so we have to go through a very, very precise series of questions, okay? So you remove the objection, money aside, you feel like this could be the answer, okay? The reason why we do that is because we want them to go back through, we want to start a process of reestablishing value, okay? All right, so the reestablishing of the value is one of the key components to all objection handling because you need that person to start thinking in terms of like, what are the things that I need, whether it's software, whether it's like coaching, whether it's, widgets, okay? What is it about what I've presented that we're gonna talk about the benefits of that, but you're gonna tell me which elements are most important to you and you're gonna tell me why, okay? Because if we don't do it that way, then we're gonna end up having a lot of quite odd conversations. I will actually roll back real quick though, okay? Now, a lot of this stuff is, if you guys sell things that have financing or payment plans, okay? If you pitch and say, and there's payment plans available, there's financing available, there's flexible payment terms available. If you say that when you pitch, it'll be very difficult for you to overcome objection. It's very difficult because if I say to you, if I go Mark Daniel D, okay? If I go, so like unmute yourself, right? If I go, like if you just pitch me and go, hey man, like there's payment plans available, how do you want to proceed?
Yeah, payment plans.
Yeah, so like, yeah. So what you're gonna do is every time that person's gonna go, what payment plans do you have?
Yeah.
Okay? Or they're gonna go, hey, like what's the financing? And then what you're doing is having a logistical inane conversation about something that we have not established they actually want. Does that make sense, everybody? So when you pitch, you pitch like your full price. Okay? You also need to pitch the full price if you're selling something like coaching or whatever, or something that has already like software that has like a paid in full discount. Okay, so it's like, hey, there's like annual pricing, whatever. Pitch the most expensive version in the total number. Okay, so like if it's a 3-pay and the 3-pay is 10 grand, but the 2-pay, but the 1-pay is 8, don't pitch it at 8 grand. Okay, and then go, hey, you know how you don't have money? Well, I'm going to charge you more because you don't have enough. Okay, there needs to be a paid in full incentive. Okay, not a payment plan, interest. Okay. If you guys got questions on that, let me know. I can do like a separate video on it, but you want to make sure that you do the most important one. Is it like where's marinade type thing, price at the top? So the way that I would do it in order to give yourself the best chance, okay, is if whatever payment structures you have, the most expensive version, okay, like so if it's 3-pay, 5-pay, whatever, you say the most expensive number, right? As a one-off, you just go, hey, it's $10,000, like yada 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 yada, like how do you want to proceed? Okay, then from there you would go through because you want to establish that value. Then from there, if they give you a price of like a money objection, you can go, okay, money aside, you feel this is the answer. Why is that? Yada, yada, yada. And then you can start to drop. Okay. But if you don't establish the initial value first, okay, if your price is 150K presented monthly, delivers well, absolutely it does. That's fine. And if that's how you want to sell it, then that's good to go. Okay, so it just depends on, like, there's obviously nuances to everything, but if you're saying things like you want to try and avoid you want to try and present things in a way where the most predictable outcome is either planned for or something that is easier to work with. Because if you say, you know, there's payment plans available, if you present it as a monthly payment, hey, it's $120,000 divided over 12 months, how do you want to proceed? Because that's how it's done, that's totally fine. You know what I mean? But as long as you have ways to move things down, it makes it a lot easier, right? Because you can go, hey, is it the upfront amount? If I broke that up, would that help you out? Oh, it would. Also, if you don't present paid in fulls, you're never going to get them, or you have to massively incentivize them. So you can play around with it a bit, but you want to avoid inducing objections early that mask the actual concern, which is like, hey, you know, like, so what are the finance terms available? Oh, okay, cool. All right, well, I'm going to go away and have a look at that, just do my calculations, you know. And then it's like, now you spent 5 minutes dealing with bullshit. Okay. All right. So, okay. So we'll go like, so money aside, do you feel like this could be the answer? Yes. Okay. Why is that? Now, one of the important things there, okay, that you guys want to note is that they are going to say yes almost every time. If they say no, you've done something drastically wrong in the sale, right? So like we're way off base, okay? So they say yes. Now you might hear them start to trail off. You guys know when someone has a butt coming? Yeah, you know what I mean? Interrupt them immediately. The moment you hear the yes, you interrupt them, okay? Why is that? Now, this is a practice thing, and it sounds easy, but it's actually not easy to do, okay? It's a very, very important skill set, especially in objection handling, right? Oh, like, why is that? Okay, so you interrupt them, right? Sorry, the sun is gonna kill everyone. All right, so, okay, because the way that humans work is that they haven't finished that thought yet, okay? Like, they truly haven't, I promise you. You think and speak in real time, okay? Unless you're like Jordan Peterson, who seems to form his complete sentences and then talk, okay? So, you do that. So you cut it off because there's a butt coming, but they haven't got to it yet. Okay, so you cut that off. Now, don't always do that. Sometimes if you can tell the butt's going to be positive, okay, then like let them ride with it, okay. But generally speaking, in objection handling, especially at that time, you go, why is that? Right. Then what they have to do mentally is they have to go back up and they have to go, well, I guess this, right? And then you go, what is it specifically that you feel like is kind of the like key to the castle for you? Okay, so then ask them a question where they have to dive into their memory and think about, what do I find most valuable? Okay, what is it about this thing? Okay, and then from there, because they're reestablishing value, then from there you go, okay, like, why that thing? So again, establish, get deeper. When somebody has an idea that's really good for the outcome that you want to probe and ask questions about it because it strengthens the idea. Okay, that's just how human beings work. If you've ever seen a debate, no one changes their mind. Okay, so if you can't change someone's mind, right, because it's very difficult to do so, you have to get them to take themselves through a process where they are the ones convincing themselves, and they do that by having an idea and then you strengthening it through pushing back on them a little bit and through probing them. Okay, make sense, everyone? Okay, so once you've gone through that step, okay, then we go, okay, so what are some ways that we can come up with the funds to where you can get, and then you say the exact thing that they just said they need in order to get the outcome that they want, whether it's a feature in the software, whether it's a feature in the program, whether it's accountability, whatever it may be. Okay, you get them to go, okay, so what are some ways that we can come up with the funds to where you can actually get that? Okay, now if you hear that tone, it's nice and light. Okay, what I'm not doing is going, okay, so how do you get that? Okay, it's like, it's too much. Okay, you're not trying to like induce a massive amount of emotion here. What you're trying to do is get them to happily continue the conversation and just take them down the line. Okay, you can get to emotional stuff later, but at the moment it's just not required, right? This is a normal part of your day. You're not surprised or concerned by it because it is totally unreasonable that they would have a concern about spending money given the fact that most sales cycles are fairly short, right? This is a legitimate and normal and reasonable thing. Okay, it doesn't mean it's like the way that it has to be, but you guys get what I'm saying. Okay, then from there, so once we ask that question, so what are some ways we come up with the funds, we're now on the same side of the table. Okay, the best thing that you can do is be on the same side of the table. Okay, it's two people trying to solve a problem, because we've gone through, had a call, established the needs, the wants, all that kind of stuff, done our presentation, said, hey, this is how we solve your problems. This is the investment required. This is the funds required to solve your problems. Okay, you have a concern. Okay, but if the concern wasn't there, do you feel like this would be the answer? Yes. Why is that? Okay, perfect. What is it specifically? This? Okay, why that? Oh, that makes sense. Hey, what are some ways that you think that we can come up with the funds to where we can actually get that? So you can. And it's like, oh, and then you start thinking and talking. Hey, would you mind if I make a suggestion? Yeah, sweet. well, what a lot of our clients do, yada, 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 is they do something like this. Like, would that work? No, okay, cool. Okay, is it the upfront amount, or if I broke that up for you, like, would that make it easier? Oh, you can do that? So see how it's like easier to roll a bowl down a hill, right, than push it up. So if I start at the payment plan, and I'm never pushing it up to a PIF, right? But if I start at the PIF and I establish the value, okay, then I can go, okay, well, if I broke it up, like, would that help you out? Now, the reason why I like to start off with the most expensive version, because it sounds like it's harder to go like, well, it's 150K if you pay, for 12 months. It's like, it's like, yes, it sounds like it's harder, but that's the overall value anyway. So like, I'd rather have someone agree and establish the value to the entirety of the program, right? There's a sales call with Cardone where he hops on and he says like, oh, I guess it's only $2,500 a month. And he said, no, you're not making a $2,500 decision. You're making a $30,000 decision. Big boy decisions, big boy results, right? And I was like, that's a really good way of looking at it, because it's like, I want them to be bought in on the entirety of it, not just like the fact that they can break it up, right? That's where financing breaks reps. Like, like where you can break it up over 3 years or 2 years or whatever, like that financing element, it breaks them, because people start to sell based off not the value and like the actual sales call, but they based off like the fact that it's like ridiculously affordable, and so like a no-brainer. That's not selling, that's being a checkout chick. Okay, so like, because if we can then break it down and go, oh, okay, like if I could break it up for you, like would that help? Now the issue is if I then have to go, well, if I break it up for you, it's now 20% more expensive. So you, the broker that doesn't have the money, yeah, it's more expensive for you, broker. Okay, so like that doesn't seem like the best framing for me. I never liked that. So I always just went with the most expensive version, right? Then from there, it allowed me to drop to a payment plan. And that payment plan was the same cost, right, that they already knew about. So I never got the objection, well, I'm just going to wait till I can pay in full, right? Because that's a really annoying objection. Because my process from there is then to get them to do the payment plan and then say, oh, I get the first payment, or the, whatever it is, then I'll offer them the paid in full incentive after I get the first payment. Right? Oh, hey, did I mention that you actually get a bit of a discount for paying in full? No? Ah, shit, sorry, man. Yeah, so you paid this much, but if you want to pay the rest off, it's only this much more. Do you want to do that? And then I just sit there until they do it, or they don't. Either way, it's fine. Thank you. All right, so this is all scripted as well, so you guys don't have to worry. This is all all scripted out for you guys, like it's totally fine. Okay. So, but what I want to do is kind of go over and be able to kind of show the process. Okay. And that's just like one objection. Then you come up with it and you go, okay, cool. So you establish it and you go, okay, so if we broke it up for you, like, would that help? Yes. Okay. Do you want to go through that? I always ask that little bit of extra. They go, if I broke it up for you, would that help? Yes. And do you want to go through that? Yes. Okay. Hey, it's totally normal. I normalize it. Hey, it's totally normal. A lot of people that are coming to us for X, Y, Z, the paying that in full is just like not an option for most people. So it's totally fine. So what we generally do for people is this. And then I will offer a 2-pay. And then I will listen. If they're like silent, I can go, and we can do some other ones if you want. You know what I mean? I can do a 3, whatever, okay? Like drop, but I don't want to go to like a 27-pay straight away. Okay. I want to kind of drop down nice and controlled. If I get to the chance where I've offered 2 or 3 options and they're like, I'm like, hey man, I can't hit a target that I can't see. Like, where are we at? Is this way out of the realms of possibility? Or like we need to, just, if you just help me out, then I can help you out. Because at that point, we can drop the veil and we can have a normal conversation with somebody. They need it, they want to figure out a way to pay for it, they understand the value, right? And now it's like, we just have to figure this out. Nick, you got a question?
Yeah, real quick. Do you ask for their cash on hand before going to?
No, before, no. This is a real dangerous game. I need to establish that they are really bought in.
Like after that, I'm saying.
Yeah, like for sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I'll be like, okay, cool. So can you help me out with with what cash you have on hand and what you think that you can put towards this? I don't want you not to be able to eat. That's ridiculous. So what do you actually have? And then what do you have coming up? And then maybe we can figure this out. Right? You just want to have a really genuine, open, and normal conversation and normalize it and be as normal as possible. It is a very unpleasant thing for everybody to have to talk about not having enough money to do something. Okay. And so you don't want to make anyone feel bad about that. So you want to normalize it and just be really cool and go, oh, dude, it's totally normal. Like, don't worry about it. You know what I mean? It's an important part because a lot of the time, people take these posturing frames, right? And it's just such a load of bullshit. Whereas like you have to sort of play the ball that you're given, And so if someone needs to be smacked down a little bit, you can smack it down. If someone needs to be built up a little, you need to build them up. But if someone needs empathy and they need you to be understanding, you can't make someone feel bad. If your goal is to win the argument, you're not gonna make a lot of sales. You even if you're right, it just doesn't matter. Right? It just has no bearing on the conversation. Right? That's a real young man's thing, right? And I need to be right. Look at this guy's mindset. He's a fucking idiot. Okay? It's like, no. Everyone has, where there's a lot of decisions that's gone behind everybody to be in the placing where they're in, and you just don't know. If you have shitty parents that hate people with money, you will spend a very long time destroying any opportunities to make money. right? It's just kind of the way that it is, like a, and so, just be empathetic with people and just be real with people, okay? And then from there, okay, so yeah, Brody.
Walk me through that one last part. So after, if we broke it up with that help, do you want to go through that? Yeah, perfect. Normalize it. That next part there.
Yeah.
Are you offering your preferred pricing structure, or are you framing it as though, okay, in terms of breaking it up for you, is there a preferred way that makes the most sense that you can get the help you need? Are you giving them the honest or taking it?
No, I'm going to take that because I want to drop it quite precisely. I'm going to offer like a 2 or 3. I'm going to drop. I'm also going to get a bit of a gauge as to like how they react. If I offer a 2 pay and they go, I'm going to go, what about a 4? Do you know what I mean? So like I'm gonna kind of play the field a little bit there. But if I go a 2 pay and they go, oh yeah, like that could work. And I'm like, are you sure? So I'll push back a little bit. Are you sure? And they go, yeah. And you go, okay. Like, how do you want to proceed? Right? And then I just reestablish it. Okay, so 2 payments of XYZ would work within your current budget. Yes, it would. How do you want to proceed? Now, but Mark, before I get to you, the difficulty is during that exchange, they are going to give you other objections. Partner, think about it. Timing. You ignore all of them. That it is a difficult thing to do, and I know it's a little bit antithetical for most people. You literally ignore them, okay? Like, you keep going down your pathway, right, Collie? I wasn't expecting that. Yes, you ignore what they're. The reason being is because from the thousands of core reviews I've done on objection handling, most people will get sidetracked halfway through and never resolve any of them, right? So just once, like, objection handling is far more dictatorial than the rest of the call. So like I would just straight up ignore things that I don't want to talk about in objection handling. Just ignore it completely. I will, like, it didn't exist, didn't happen. Right? So if they're like, if I'm dealing with money and they start going, oh yeah, I'm like, okay, so money aside of this be the answer? Yes, it would. Why is that? Yada, yada, yada. Okay, so what are some ways we can come up with the funds? So yeah, I could probably come up with it. I just need to go away and check with the partner. I'd be like, okay, so like, I would just go back through and I would completely ignore the fact that they said partner. In my head, I've noted it because I know that's going to be their next objection. Okay, but I'm just going to keep ramming them down because at the end of it, I want, so this payment plan, this payment structure would work within your current budget? Yes. Okay, I'm not asking them to do it. I'm saying it would work. Okay, and they might go like, well, I'd have to check with the finance. Okay, well, based off what you know right now, though, like ballpark figures. Obviously, you can go and dot the I's and cross the T's later, but based off what do you feel like this could work? They're like, yeah, I'd have to just check things. Go, okay, well, do you know how much money you make? Yep. All right. Well, do you know how much money you have? Yep. What do you think it'll work? Right. I'm just going to keep asking that question in different ways until they go, oh yeah, I suppose it'll work. Okay, what do you want to do from here? Right? Because now it's the next objection. Yeah, I just have to go away and speak to my partner. Okay, when you go to your partner, like, what do you talk about? Does that make sense? Like, I'm just fucking ramming them down because I have to resolve that line. And even if they give me other objections, I'm going to do money first anyway, right? Because money is like my backstop. Okay. So if they go, yeah, hey Matt, this sounds really good. Whatever they need to do, just kind of go away, speak to my accountant, my partner, just kind of make sure that, like, my chakras are aligned, and just make sure the finances and all that kind of stuff lined up. So what I'm gonna do from here, like, get back in 2 weeks, send me an email and stuff. I'll be like, yeah, money aside though. Do you feel like this is the answer? I ignore everything and just go money aside, right? The reason being is because it's money wrapped in a bunch of shit, right? And so, like, I'm just gonna handle that thing, and like, I'm going to go through and I'm not going to get sidetracked at all. Go back through and listen to a bunch of your old calls, guys, and hear yourself get 50% down through a money objection, and then go over here, and then get 30% through a partner objection, and then go over here, and then get 25% through like a timing objection, then go and do this fucking like fear-based smokescreen bullshit reframe thing for 30 minutes to then have them go, yeah, but like I just need to figure the money part out. Right? And it's like, fuck's sake. So like your backstop is money. Nothing else matters until you've established the financial parameters of the deal. Nothing matters. Because without that, there is no deal. There's a deal at the end of the day. Okay? Brody, does that make sense? Did I answer that?
Yeah, it does. I was wondering, just after Mark's question, could you go through line by line again one more time, just through that sequence, just so I got the back end. But go Mark first.
For sure. Mark.
First of all, thank you for doing this training, man. It's amazing. And I have a question on what you just mentioned. Sometimes when I do payment plans, I frame it as if it's like a special case, where I ask them, okay, like, what are the highlights for you? They tell me the highlights. So this is not if this will work for you, it's how you can make it work financially.
Yep.
And so I can ask you, like, how motivated are you to follow the program to get the results? So they say like a 10. So they say, okay, in that case, I feel I can trust you. We could possibly do like a payment plan. Would that work? What do you think of this approach?
I mean, I think if it works, do it. I just think that you just want to have a way that is like replicatable. And I always err on the side of the truth, right? So like for me, I've never done like action take or discount type stuff because like, You know, if they're going to come back to me in 2 days, I'm still going to give them the price. I'm just not going to do it. I just like to have a really like, and I'm not saying that you're not being honest. That's what I'm saying, right? It's just like I'm just super straightforward with how I do it, and I minimal fluff and talking, the better. Again, because when you've asked for money, it's it's a very interesting dynamic shift, okay, to where the veil's been broken, and so you want to be very precise with your language. Right now, again, if it's working, I'm all for it, and if you can pull it off consistently, my objection handling is so boringly monotonous. It is the same every time. Like, it doesn't change for people, nothing. I can do it asleep. It's the same, right? And Brody, like, I'll go over that whole sequence again, right? I'll just answer these 2 questions, but I think if you can structure it in a way where it makes sense, but I think I would have a look at if it's going sideways in any of those interactions, and then if you have to make a spontaneous value judgment on whether or not something will work on somebody. Like, it's a difficult one to do consistently, right?
You can use all the time, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right, Joe.
Question is, so there's this new like financing thing on our offer where it's called Split It, where like essentially they don't need to have a good credit score and there's like no interest involved. So it's like the same price if they split it over 12 months. So I know when you were saying earlier about going for like a 2-pay first. Before going into the others. Obviously, if I do a 2-pay, I can't do split for that, so I'm going to get half of my commissions. Would you, with the split you consider, would you recommend just asking them like what they can commit on a monthly basis and then going into split?
Yeah, so this is an interesting nuance, right? To where like there's a what's right for the business, and what's right in sales, and what's right for your bank account. If you have a I would still pitch the full price, right? But like, if they couldn't afford a genuine PIF and I got more money through putting it through Split It, I'd probably put it through Split It, right? Okay. But I would do it as like hey, this is the other way that this is the way that we can do it, right? Like, would this work for you? And that would be my payment plan option, right? So paid in full, because like, for example, like a wire pay in full is better than a credit card pay in full.
Because there's no transaction fees.
Yeah, that, and also there's no chargebacks.
Yeah.
Right. True. And then so like wire pay in full is best, then credit card pay in full, then whatever the best option is from there financially. And like, you should definitely do things that benefit you financially, right? You know what I mean? So if you don't get trailing comms, you know what I mean, like 2 pays and 3 pays and stuff like that, then don't do that. So yeah, I would go paid in full price, establish that value. Hey, is it the upfront amount? If we could break it up, would that help you? Yeah, sweet. Well, we do have this pretty cool thing. It's called Split It. And what we do is we actually break it up for you over 12 months. Like, would that help you out? Yes, it would. Okay, perfect. All right, make sense? All right, cool. Yeah. Sean?
So I've got a quick question. So usually when, an example, let's say when I pitch the service/product, and then once it's done, I ask, how does that suit you? How do you feel about this? Or do you feel this can be an answer for you, quote unquote? And then they say yes, and I ask why, and they give a reason why. And then later on, after they give the reasons, then they give the objection. Do you still go, oh, but money aside, but because money aside, would you want to do this when you already stated what they said previously?
So the answer is yes, but that's where like having different ways of saying the same thing work. What are you doing, buddy? Sorry, my son. So yeah, you need to have, so like if I'm going to go through and someone does right, if someone's like, if I'm doing money objection, hey, money aside, right, and then and someone comes through with like the partner, right, and I go, okay, well, like, if the partner wasn't, if your partner was on board, okay, so I'm saying the same thing, but I'm just removing the objection, right? Makes sense. Okay, so that's where like you just have to practice saying things in different ways. That's where some of that conversational flexibility exercises that I talked about that we're going to be doing during this program. Okay, like it's designed for that stuff, because if you don't get an answer, if you get a non-answer, you need to keep asking the question, and that's a very, very necessary skill set for sales reps to have. It's actually a necessary skill set for anyone to have, because a lot of the time, like, you'll ask questions and people just don't give you answers, and it's either because like if you ask a vague question, you get a vague answer. Right. So, and a lot of the time, the way that sales reps in particular ask questions, they are very difficult to answer, because they say, okay, so what I'm hearing you say is that, and then it's like all this fucking nonsense, because you're like, I'm a sales rep and you don't sound like a normal human. And so the interpretation is quite difficult to figure out. Right. Whereas if it's really clear and concise, then you can keep going, but you just have to have different ways of doing that. Like if I ask somebody, okay, so let's just say you go to your partner and they say no, what happens then? Okay. It's a very clear question, but they're still not going to want to answer it. They're going to go, well, I don't think that'll happen. Okay, what if it does? Well, like she's really supportive and okay, but let's just say she's had a really bad day and she's like, no. What happens then? And then it's another blah, blah, blah. And then I'm like, okay, let's just say she gets home from work. Becky at work? Yeah, Becky, you've been a bitch, right? Becky's been a mad bitch at work all day. Your wife's come home. She's had a bad day because of Becky. And she's like, no, you're not doing this. What happens? Like, stamp the foot.
What happens then? Okay, so like, because I'm gonna get that answer, or I'm not gonna do it. Oh, so she's like the decision maker for the business. Well, no. Okay, but if she says no, then you're out. All right, that could be trouble. All right, so like I'm gonna get that answer, and that's where you just have to be good at that, and it's a practice thing, you know, where you just keep asking, but it's in a way where like you're not frustrated, and it's like there's an escalation to it that gets more definitive. Okay, right. All right, let's go with Ron, then Sveta.
Thanks for doing this. Question is for there and there. I have a martial arts school, so we do like a paid trial low barrier offer. They do a month for $100 basically, and then 2 weeks in, we present all the other offers. We do like a belt test for the kid on the first date, et cetera, et cetera. So how I've always done it is I have 4 options. Option A, B, C, D. Option A is 30% discount. Option B is a 20% discount if they put $500 down. C is $300 down, then they get a 10% discount. And then option D is like, nobody takes it, but it's got that. So I'm just curious, is that, I am coming into the objection like, oh, I got to talk to my wife or mom's not here or that sort of thing. Is there any benefit to, like, how would you deal with that type of scenario?
Are you presenting them all like, hey, here's your options A, B, C, D?
Yes.
Yeah, right.
The only thing is I've been trying to like pre-frame, like preload it, because now what we've been doing is I've been kind of giving them the pricing like within the first week. Hey, do you have the pricing? Just so you know, we do an incentive if you sign up on the day. If you sign up at the belt testing, we give you a $200 discount off any prepayment.
If I came back the next day, would you give me the discount?
Probably would.
Then it's not real, is it?
But well, no. You want the honest answer or the one that I'm trying to present?
The honest answer is what I'm saying.
The honest answer. I'd be like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, exactly. So like, just don't like. So the answer is like, you know, if it's working, keep doing it. Okay. Can you optimize it? Sure. That's a lot of choice, right? You know, generally speaking, if I come to somebody, you know, don't give me choices. Tell me what I'm supposed to do. Okay. Now, when it comes to payment, like, do you get things like, oh, well, you know, I'll just wait until I have the full amount, or
no,
so I can get
the way I structured it is like the option A is the paid in full, which is actually my real tuition rate that I want. So I kind of, instead of discounting my rate, I just made the paid in full amount what I really want, and then made everything else that much more expensive. So I'm fine whatever I get. Like I'm kind of
no, but like do you get people going, well, I'll wait until I have the full amount because like they get a discount for paying in full?
I've had it happen once.
Okay, well then, you know, what I would do first and foremost, like it's hard to say if it's good or a bad way of doing it. My sales intuition tells me that's too much choice, right? To give someone up front. My gut is to, you know, only present one price and one way of doing it. You know what I mean? Just because, you know, when you're people are now, they have to make more than one choice. Now they have to like initially go, okay, I want to do it and that one, you know what I mean, and that price, where it's like the first thing is like, do you want to do this? Yes. Okay. And now how do we pay for it? You know? So I think like maybe breaking it up. But again, if it's working really well, then like what the fuck, to be honest, like who cares?
Yeah, like we
I mean?
close from the trial to that at about 50 to 60%, depending on the time of year. And of those closes, about 50% of them do the paid in full.
Then I wouldn't fuck with it too much. But if there's one that no one takes, just remove it because it's just nonsense choice.
Okay. Appreciate
you know what I mean?
that.
Just like
just streamline it even more. Okay.
Yeah.
Appreciate
all right.
it. Thank you.
Sveta?
Yeah, thanks a lot for the training. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, perfect. So if we talk about gym membership, there is no option for pay in full. There is only option for annual contract, but you pay monthly, and monthly rolling, that is more expensive, but also paying monthly. What would you pitch? Would you try to make it up like Cardon was doing? Because I think he had a similar case. He would sell membership for his course, but he will create the big number for the like pay for the year.
Yeah, so they're like month to month rolling memberships. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so at the end of the day, they're paying every month, but there are 2 options. You either have an annual contract, so you subscribe for a year, but you pay per month, or you don't have that contract and you can like cancel any time and you pay more. But
what's best
again,
for you?
per month. Annual contract.
Then pitch the annual contract and then your drop sell is the month to month. Right. So your like your drop is a month. Yeah, no, if it's gonna be more expensive, like, but that's an easy one to verbally maneuver.
Okay.
It's like, right, because there's a guarantee. It's like, okay, so the way that we generally do it is it's a 12-month contract for this much over the course of the year. How do you want to proceed from here?
We talk about the entire
I would, yeah. I would, yeah.
Yeah, okay, got it.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Okay.
And then that way they might go, oh, is it up front? And go, well, it can be.
Okay.
Would you like to do that? Do you know what I mean? And they might go, oh, and go like, money aside there. Do you feel like this would be the answer? Yes, it would. Why is that? Okay, this. All right, cool. So does it make sense? Like, what is it? All right, cool, yada, yada, yada. Like, what is it specifically? What's this, and this? Okay, so is it the upfront amount, or if we did break that up for you, like, would that help? Like, oh, you can do that? Go, yeah, sweet, yeah, you can pay monthly if you'd like. Oh, that'd be perfect. Now you've got an annual contract paying monthly, which is fantastic. And then if they then have any more objections, like a trusting or whatever like that, you can go, what we can do is, since you want to kind of remove some of the, I guess, some of your burden, right? That increases our risk. Okay. You know what I mean? And so, but what we're happy to do for you is, if you just want to do monthly, it's this much on a monthly basis, right? But then if you do want to switch over to an annual contract, then we can go ahead and knock that back down. So which one will work better for you?
Okay,
again,
got
so
it.
it's easy to talk your way through that kind of thing, but you just want to have a starting point, and the starting point is super clear. And at the starting point is the best possible outcome for you, which is a 12-month contract paid in full. That's the GOAT.
Okay.
Then it's like 12-month contract paid monthly, right? And then it's like no contract paid monthly, right? So because now you have a systematic way of dropping, okay, to where it's intentional. It doesn't sound desperate, okay, but like it's very, very intentional. And but now you have an opportunity to potentially get a 12-month paid in full. Whereas like if you don't ever present that, then you'll never get it. Right?
Okay.
Like it's very difficult to get someone to buy in a lower amount and then get them to do the paid in full. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? And again, that's just whether or not that works well for your business, for your comm structure, whatever works best. Like you kind of want to structure around that. Whatever is like the most financially beneficial for you as like sales rep, right? Like that's how you kind of want to, structure everything around. Again, like the business advice is different than the sales rep's advice. So you have to kind of go between those two. All right, Nick.
Yeah. So, like a couple weeks ago, I was here and I asked you, or I told you about how when I am at the end of the call handling objections, and if it goes on for quite a while and I get them to close, a lot of the times they wake up and they say, I want my money back, like the next day. And you mentioned that I should get them to tell me that they want to do it more, like more than once. How do you do that? What is the way to do that?
Be better at sales. No. The real answer is like, so throughout the process, you can you want to sort of get someone to tell you throughout the process multiple times that they want it, they need it now. Okay. And so the way that you do that is just through like little tiny probes. Okay. So it's like, hey, I want to lose some weight. Oh, okay. How much weight? How much you want to lose that for? Okay. Why now? Okay. Like, and do you want to like lose that weight now or later? Now? Why now? Oh, okay. That makes sense. Like
so
it's that casual.
So you weren't saying that for when I'm after handling the objection and like right before they're about to pay? That's the way I took it when you told me that.
The entire call.
Okay. Yeah. I'm kind of doing that already. Like,
yeah, but maybe not very well. So if you're getting a lot of refunds, you're either pushy, right? Like that, like you're just pushing people. So you have to have a look at like, well, if there's 10 people that I sell and 3 of them I fucking railed on them.
Yeah.
Right? Chances are 2 out of those 3 are gonna, and I'm happy with that math. Right?
You're happy, really?
Like, are you like? Well, no, I'm saying it's the question you got to ask yourself. Am I happy with that math? Because if I make 10 sales and 3 of them I know I was pretty rough with, and 2 of them refund, so I get 8 sales, the math most of the time. Right? But you have to learn to break it up and go like, okay, like, and probably just find the line, because I'm tipping you get no follow-up sales, right?
No, that's not entirely true. I'd say about 10 to 20% of them are follow-up.
Okay, because generally speaking, like if you're getting a lot of refunds, because you're pushing people quite hard. If you push people quite hard, it's because you struggle to find the line, right? Yeah. And then like, which means you're going to have less follow-up sales than normal.
Yeah,
that's just generally speaking how it goes, right? It doesn't have to be that way, but so you just got to like, first of all, like, try and, I would say, have a listen to see if there's like some venom or frustration in your tone. Frustration is the one that makes it get combative most of the time.
Yeah.
Right. So if you can avoid that just by realizing you're probably not, as smart or cool as you think you are, you know what I mean? And then just go like, all right, cool, I'll give him a break. Sweet as, I do have to go in a minute, guys. So Nick, real quick.
Yeah, awesome. This has been amazing, by the way. Thank you so much. I sell a level 1 and a level 2 course for PTs. I educate PTs. So the level, we sell it for like both combined, like level 1 6K, level 2 6K, and then I sell it combined like 10K, or paid in full is like 5K. But I want to know like what should be the incentive for a paid in full? Like, is there a certain percentage of difference in pricing that it should be that's enough of an incentive for people to pay in full?
It's a good question. It's probably going to be very market specific, to be honest.
Okay.
Like it's kind of a hard one to answer. I would say you want to have like you want to have an incentive that is enough to where 20% would be the max.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I think any more than that, your payment plan price is probably just bullshit. To be honest, it's probably overly inflated. Yeah, sweet. Okay, yeah,
Matt,
so, yeah.
do this last little bit with me. I think everybody's asking about pricing and shit. Book a consult with Matt if you want to go through your pricing offer. Like, if we can go like actually through the objection handling bit. Like,
Yeah, for sure.
Just
So
yeah.
I'll go through. So okay, cool. So Brody, if you want to be the prospect,
Sure,
just,
no
like,
dramas.
just be like normal. So hey, Brody, so you know it's $10,000. How do you want to proceed from here?
Man, look, it sounds great. I'll
Why is that?
run. Oh well, like it's you know, it's from where my business is to where I want to get it to. Yeah, it sounds like it could work. I just need to run over the finances.
Yeah, sweet, man. Money aside, do you feel this could be the answer for you?
Yeah, I think it could. Yeah.
Yeah. Is there anything in particular that makes you feel that way?
I guess for me, it's probably the accountability, just like having the coach there to kind of speak to every day. Haven't really had that before.
And like, why would that help?
Well, I guess it's just don't feel like I'm really doing it alone. Then just actually have the support and that guidance that. So yeah, I feel like I'm actually got someone to help me.
Like, makes sense though. I guess like, so what are some ways that I guess we can come up with the funding to where you can actually get that accountability and have someone kind of looking over your shoulder and just making sure that things are happening right?
I don't know how. I'm not really sure.
Okay, was it the upfront amount, or if we kind of broke that up for you, like, would that help?
Yeah, it's you can break it. It is the upfront amount. I just don't
Okay. Okay. Well, do you want to have that payment plan kind of conversation?
Sure. Yeah.
Sure, man. Yeah, dude, it's totally normal, right? So, a lot of guys that come to us for training, right, they're kind of allocating resources to areas of their life that might not necessarily be, like driving them towards being healthy. And so we have to reallocate, you know what I mean? And so what we can do for a lot of guys is we usually break it up over 2 payments, right? They're 30 days apart of 5,000. Would that work more within your current budget, or like, are we kind of still way off?
It's probably still a little bit off.
Okay. Well, like, obviously, like, I can't hit a target that I can't see, but if you broke it up over 3 payments over 3 months, like, would that help you?
You do like a weekly?
I mean, that's difficult for us because we do have to front load an awful lot of your education, like with the coaching and you're doing, and like, do you know what I mean? But like, I guess like just between me, no ego, no nothing. Like, what do you actually have on hand to be able to invest into your health and fitness?
I know, maybe a few $100 a week, maybe.
Yeah. Right. Okay, cool. This is where like the nuance of the offer comes into play because I don't know, right? But I would say like, let's just say I had a plan that kind of worked, right? Because this is just like logistics. So okay, cool. So like, like $500 a week, would that work more within your current budget?
Yeah, I think I could make that work.
You sure? You could just keep doing what you're doing, man. Like, maybe you don't need us. I don't know, man.
And then right now, like, it's funny that the exact role play is exactly where it starts to go into fear. It's like, yeah, I just don't know. Yeah, I think I could make that work.
Okay, so $500 a week in order for us to look over everything, get you back on track and get you going to XYZ, like that works within your current budget?
Yeah, that works.
All right, well, how do you want to proceed from here? And then it can go into fear or whatever it can go into, right? But the key is that you just lock up that. I don't know if I'm delaying, guys. I'm sorry. I'm just going to turn my camera off real quick. I mean, it's just fucking around with it. Yeah. So and then from there you just kind of you would go through like your next series, but that makes sense as a process. It's quite quick. It's quite clean. It doesn't need to be anything more complicated than that when it comes to just a pure money objection, right? Like it's very.
I was just about to, if I was to throw a partner objection in there, could you just quickly role play that last bit? So if it's like you're talking about money, you get us $500, work within your budget, and then I immediately, before you've kind of rounded out that vertical, I just throw in, I just guess I need to speak to the wife.
Like, so yeah, but I would just I'd go, yeah, man, like that makes sense, but does this still work? But does this work within the current budget? Like, I would just ignore it.
Yeah, gotcha.
Like that's it. And then I'm just gonna make you say yes. And then I'm going to go, okay, how do you want to proceed from here? Knowing that you're going to give me a wife objection. I'm going to go, okay, and if your wife was on the call, do you feel like, she would think that this is a good move for you?
And you go, why though? Ask him about why.
Why though? And then I'm going to break them down to like a decision tree of like, would you or wouldn't you? So if you ask her and she says no, what happens? That's the key decision point. Because if you probe on that a few times and the real answer is he cannot move forward without her, then you have to speak to her.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And I'm sure you'll cover that on partner.
Yeah.
Are you asking again why though? So you're going why?
Yeah. I'm just probing all the time.
Yeah. Good.
Okay. All right. Cool. Jeremiah, last question, then I got to bounce, guys. Oh, that was helpful, buddy.
Man, thank
hey,
you
man,
so much.
thanks for doing this. Did you post any PDFs or anything like that as far as following frameworks? Because if so, I haven't been able to find them.
Yeah, the objection handling matrix is in the posts, right? But I will repost it, which has got the full framework available. Actually, let me just see if
is it in Notion?
It's also in the Notion, yes. But let me put it in the chat real quick.
Thank you.
Let me see if I can put it in the chat. Not that the function that is available. Oh, no, it's not. I will pop it in YouTube right after this. And then I will put it in the description of this video, because this will be uploaded into the objection handling course in the playlist. Okay?
Thanks.
All right, guys. Awesome. We'll speak to you guys in a couple days. Bye.
Thanks, Matt. Bye.
Thank you.
Cheers, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is session 2 of the objection handling course. All right, and YouTube should actually work today, which is good. So, all right, we'll give everyone a couple minutes to get in here, but how's everyone going? Everyone gone away? Anyone implemented any of the stuff that we went over in session 1? Had any wins? Feel free to raise your hand. No? All right, I'll just go fuck myself then. Sounds good. All right. All righty. Luis.
Yeah, bro. Closed the deal yesterday. The biggest takeaway was just like staying in that pocket and going deeper with her, because she had a lot of financial concerns, but at the end of the day, it was fear. So yeah, man, it works. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Have you had problems going deeper with ladies before? Has that been a common issue of yours?
You know what? It is a common issue, man. But luckily, I'm married now.
No, I've never heard that before. It's weird. Anyway, I can sympathize but not empathize. Does that make sense? I'm thinking about having an extra session in here once a month on conspiracy theories. No judging, just like, let's go deep, guys. Tower 7, what do we think? Right? You know what I mean? I feel like these are the discussions that we need to have in this kind of environment, right? Anyway, I love that shit. I'm all in. Right? Ben, you got a question? Are you just gonna share what you think about it?
No. I think conspiracies that's a great idea. But I just had a clarifying question, because I was pitching price wrong. So I would do like the discounted thing. We were talking, and I just wanted to make sure from last week I got it right. So we do it's like 24K for 6 months. So it's 144K. But if you pay up front, it's 120K. So when I pitch, should I just say the investment to do XYZ is 144K and then kind of like down from there? Or do I say it's 120K?
The answer is there is no right. Okay, so I want you to always just play around with stuff. You know what I mean? And see what comes out and feels comfortable. You know, like there are some situations where I will pitch the price at the very beginning of my pitch, and some where I'll pitch it right at the very end, right? And it's a kind of a depending on the offer and what I'm split testing. So just pick one of the options, and then from there, like, see how you go handling objections. I prefer most of the time to present the most expensive version of it, because it makes it easier for me to roll downhill, like when I'm doing my objection handling. You know what I mean? But there will be some offers and instances and stuff like that. And what I don't want us to do is get into like really individual kind of minutia, because at the end of the day, you won't know until you test and adjust it. And what you got to do is test something, do it a very specific way for enough people, which is probably 40 plus, right? You know what I mean? 30 to 40 plus people, because you've got laydowns, you've got people who will never buy, you know, you've got weird reactors, stuff like that. So you want enough of a sample sizing to be able to actually, you know, kind of say, okay, I'm getting a pretty consistent result here, and I want to like change it, right?
I know you said last time though, if we present like the discounted pay in full first, and then say, oh, you can break it up, but it's actually going to be 144K instead. If you did 120K up front, that's like bad, because it's making them pay more for not having money, right? And so do you just say like, yeah, it's 24K a month for 6 months, or if you pay it up front, it's only 20K a month, or it's only 120K? Does it make sense what I'm asking?
Yeah, it does. And you know, I think as well, just test each one and see what is easier to overcome. Does that make sense? Okay. Right. So that's kind of the key. Test each one. All right, we'll go one more question, then we're going to get into what we're going to be going over today's partner objections. Sean, you have a question?
Got a question regarding what you said, actually. You said something quite interesting regarding split testing. So regarding calls, I mean, I am jotting down what objections are coming up, etc., and how the calls are going for. But how would you go about organizing and split testing sort of sales calls? It's not like a marketing automation where you know exactly what's going where. How do you go about that specifically to split test and see what's working, what's not working? What would be the smart way?
It's the exact same way.
Today, you're going to watch me speed run some
Stay focused.
Way. So like when you split test a marketing funnel, you don't change 7 things in the funnel. Right? I mean, you could, but you would be shit at marketing, right? Like, you know, like that would be like a bad marketer, right? So like you change one thing, you do it for a number of instances. The key is consistency. Most of the volatility in people's sales process comes from a lack of consistency in the delivery of their questions, tonality, pacing, timing. And so what they're doing is they're getting a slightly different answer every single time because they're asking it in a slightly different way. So they're inducing variables each time, which is why people stay in the beginner stage for a very, very long time. Right? It's so hard to problem solving new things on the fly every time takes a super brain power, right? It's like none of us have that, you know. And so you have to learn how to become consistent. So you start at the top of your script, because the top of your script is the most frequently interacted with. Bottom of your script is the least frequently interacted with. So you start at the top of your script, and then what you do is you like make it super consistent. Hey, this is just Matt reaching out to you about XYZ, right? You're not going, hey, this is just Matt reaching about XYZ. You know, like you're not doing it a different way every time. And then what you do is you just go through bit by bit, step by step, the whole thing. And that way, once you've done that process, then you can start split testing. You can't split test when you're doing shit differently every time, and the entire thing is a total mess. Now, you will never be able to do the exact same script every single time. However, your key questions, right, and those key points, right, will be able to be delivered very consistently and intentionally. Right, and that's when once you have that, then you can start changing. All right, Sveta, I know you had a question, so let's go with that, and then we're going to go to partner objection.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Very quick question. Yesterday, 2 days ago, you mentioned that money objection is the top of the hierarchy, and also you were talking about ignoring what they are saying and just following the process. So if they, for example, give an objection, think about or partner or any other objection.
I have fighting reframed myself. Like, if it was free, would I do it? Yes. Why? Because it's fighting great, and there's a ton of value here. Can you see that this is exactly the problem? That you don't have the financial, you know, maybe the cash flow right now. This is exactly why you need to pay. Ah, man, if I can't reframe myself, how can I reframe others? How can I help others if I can't help myself? So I'm gonna pay. And actually believe in myself and go in this. Not because I paid, it's to cut time. I'm selling myself here to cut time. Everything structured. Do the same shit and have videos of me. Maybe not post it publicly, but maybe have it in a list, in unlisted, and send links to whoever wants. I don't know. Anyway, we'll start with publicly and see what happens. Bye. I'm gonna pay now. Fuck, Matt, you took my money again. I fucking hate you. Bye. Okay, it's not perfect, but let's fucking go. Back with Matt, I guess. Let's start from the beginning, I guess. Yes, start from the beginning and back to school. Back to school, literally. Day 1 of 30. 7th of May 26. Let's bet on myself. Let's go.
Welcome to Sales Fundamentals. This is a comprehensive course that I want you to start with. So if you've been other places, nothing. Okay, but what we're going to be doing is breaking down the phases of a sale. Below is a recap of the phases and what you should be looking for and doing in them. But then also there's an implementation guide. If something is working really, really well, it doesn't mean that you stop doing it. And just because you found a better way to do something doesn't mean that you start doing it right away. Right? So if Steph Curry teaches you a better way to shoot free throws, but you're still shooting at 70%, now when you go out in games, you should probably do the way that you know best. But in practice, until you get better at it, you only do that new way in practice because it will give you a higher possibility. Okay, but due to your lack of skill in that area or newness, it's going to be a lower outcome. So what you don't want to do is learn something better, try and apply it immediately, and then from there go, this shit doesn't work. When really you're just retarded. Okay, so we've got the mentality of a sales rep. We've got like understanding what top 1% rep do and how they act and how they operate. There's the business of sales as well. And then there's like all the phases, finishing off with a full role play on the end. Then there's like some resources. Then there's like some key skills in the fundamentals group. And then there's some live calls. So it should kind of wrap up nicely. It's a pretty decent sized section, but I think you better get through it. Enjoy.
The mentality. That's fighting goal.
Everything that's not making sales off the front end, like you sort of have to either adopt a mentality, and the systems need to come from the activity, and they need to be problem solved by the individual in order for them to, I think, be really effective. So like you can be given systems, however, with this type of stuff, because it is like it's exercising a hustle muscle. You actually sort of, it's a little bit detrimental to the person in the long term, for the people that are actually going to do it, right? Which is like the vast minority of sales reps as a whole. And so the mentality, like, you know, earmuffs, Scotty, right? As a sales rep, is that you must want to put yourself in a position to where you can tell the business to go fuck themselves, right? Like, not that you ever would or want to. However, like, I'll explain what I mean by that from my mentality as a high producing rep. It's like, I don't want to be reliant on any one lead source. Right. And so because I see that as a tremendous risk to my family and my well-being and my likelihood and my sort of like livelihood. And so if I'm only getting leads in, then like whatever blue-haired autist is running the marketing, right, decides to have a little flip out and then not do their job for 2 weeks, then I can't provide the life, feed my kids, etc. That's an unacceptable level of risk for me. Right. Because I'm not running the ads. So I need to then figure out, like, how do I mitigate my own risk? And I do that by sitting down and going, like, I'm just going to use 10 sales, right? I know that I'm provided enough leads to get 6. So I need to create 4 more on my own, right? Even if you have enough leads to get the 10, then you need to then go, okay, well, I really should be making 15 to 18. And the hard part is doing these things when the lead flow, it doesn't seem like you need to. Like, who here has extra water in their house? Like a good amount in case like something happens and you can't drink the water out of the tap?
What's a good amount?
Like enough for a week. Yeah. Right. I've got that. Everyone probably should. Seems like that would be a smart thing to do, right? You know, so like not doing that is like, you know, as a dad, I would look around to my kids and go, well, I guess I'm a piece of shit. Do you know what I mean? You know, so, right. So, you know, it's the same as in sort of sales. And so what we do is we go, all right, cool. I'm going to go out and I want to not like leverage any one thing too much. So I know that I can get referrals. That's 1. I can do my own outbound. That's 2, right? I can do follow-ups of all the people that I've spoken to and people who have left have spoken to, whatever. And I can farm the CRM. Right? Those are 4. I could probably also do stuff on social media. I could like go and comment and, you know, I could create an Instagram account that's like my professional Crown Money account. And then I could go and I could like, you know, talk to people who are engaging in whatever Scotty's doing, et cetera, et cetera. There's like a multitude of ways that you could do stuff. Okay. And so I'd go, okay, cool. Like my goal would be to get 6 sales from there. And like, I want to get 1 sale from referral, 1 sale from outbound, 1 sale from here, 1 sale from here. Right. And what you do is you just work and you try and establish those things. Okay. Then it's sort of like a cipher, right? Like you get it going. Once you get a good referral cipher going, you just get a lot of them. Right? It's just kind of the way it is. It's just an activity that you're always doing, and they'll just constantly be coming to you because it's an activity that you do every day. It's just part of who you are and what you do, right? Same with follow-up. Like you should be getting deals over text every now and then. At least once a week, once every other week, someone's like, hey, I'm in. Right? Because you're communicating them with over text, you're communicating with some over email, you're calling some, like you have some people scheduled, right? It's like, it's just a rhythm that you get into. And so then I know like, all right, cool. Now I know where I'm going to get, and those are all sitting at like 30, 50% capacity of what you could do. Then let's say you're doing 5 hours a day of new leads and you're dedicating 2 hours a day to these other activities. Then your 5 hours a day of new lead dries up. You go, sweet, I'm going to allocate 1 hour a day to each of those things, right? Extra. So now I'm still working that 8 hour day, but now I've actually got a revenue generating activities that I can be doing because I'm not ramping everything to 11. I'm holding it here. And then when I have to, I ramp them up to 70% each, and my income doesn't dramatically drop. Because what happens when your income dramatically drops? You become stupid and you want sales. So therefore you get desperate, your closes get worse, and everything kind of goes downhill. You spiral, and then you end up like going like, oh, this business is sinking and I'm going, which is like, and it's an inevitability that leads will ebb and flow. It's just the way it's going to be forever. So not having some sort of contingency plan in place leaves you very open. And on some level, you understand that. And so what that means is that like you end up not being super comfortable. And then like, you know that there's other things that you could be doing. And so like, you're just not quite as like detached from the outcome. It's because like, you know that you like, oh shit, I really need to, you know, the answer can't just be, I need more leads. Right? The answer has to be like, how do I go out and find more sales? And then you retrospectively engineer it from that. And like that's really like what you have to do, I think, and you have to adopt that mentality, and you have to start doing things when you don't have to do them, which is like the more difficult thing, right? It's like storing the water when you have plenty of water. You know, like this is the hard part. And so, you know, the recommendation is like sit down and like really figure out what would you do if there were no new leads for 2 months, right? Like that would be, obviously if you're brand new, right, that's one thing, but like there is sort of no lack, there's not an infinite number of things, but there's a good number of things that you could do to produce at least a couple sales a week, right? Now, the cool thing is if you have to go out and just figure that out, then like you've now figured that out. Now you know you can get 2 sales a week from doing that activity. And then as you get better and more refined in activity, it takes you less time, right? But the act of like sitting there picking one and it like really problem solving how to get a sale from that avenue, and like then you go, what activities have to be done on a daily basis? It might only be 10 minutes a day, it might be 2 hours a day, I don't know, they're all going to be different. But that's how you then go checkbox, I know how to do that one, and then you just do whatever level of activity you have to do for that, and then you move on. So then it's like, then you start to structure your day around not just like new leads or sales calls or discovery calls or outbound. You're like, okay, well, like I need to do, this is when I do my CRM farming, this is when I do this. And those would traditionally be in times of like bad show ups and bad pickup rates, right? Like if I'm tracking my show ups, then I don't need to, then I can put activities in those times that create money and revenue, but don't fuck me around, you know? And like, that's how you start to structure yourself. And that's also how you start to see like what you're bad at and where you can sort of look at refining things, like whether it's having shorter calls or whatever it may be, right? And that's sort of how you create that system. But it really, you have to sort of boil it down to like, it's a bit of hustle muscle involved. And like, I would always err on the side of asking for forgiveness than asking for permission. Like I would go through Farm to CRM, steal a bunch of deals and then go, oh, sorry, my school's, I mean, no, you could do that, right? Like I thought open season, you know, and like, and then the parameters are put on. And then it's like, oh, okay, this is what we work within now. Like in the CRMs, when I was sort of selling full time, I had like automatic, I would, at the end of every day, I would look through every sales call that every rep did, and I'd have a look at all the outcomes. Anyone that was not sold, I put a 14-day task in to follow up with them because the rule was 14 days. And then after 14 days, I would call them and I would sell them. Like, especially if they hadn't contacted them, like that's mine all day, you know? And like some of the reps were shit. So that was really easy, you know? And so I would like, that's one list of people because there was 5 other reps. There's 5 calls per day, 2 to 3 of them, whatever, didn't close. So I'm looking at 15 leads a day. This is beautiful. Right? And then I've got all the people that I sell. I had like all of their payment terms written out in a sheet, and I had a little check mark of when they were going to hit their certain thresholds. And then like I would ask them for referrals. I booked in a 21-day check-in, you know, and I did that after I sold them. I booked a 21-day call. It was on a Friday afternoon for 10 minutes. Why Friday afternoon? Because nobody ever fucking showed up on Friday afternoon. So I was like, well, I might as well ask for referrals. Right? So that would be like my initial referral call. And then I would basically say, hey, is it cool if I just text you and harass you constantly to ask for referrals? I'll pay you every time you send me one who signs up. You're like, yeah, sweet. And then I would just like, you know, all the time, hey man, Daddy needs referrals. Send Daddy referrals. And it was just like, and you do that with enough people, and all of a sudden you've got 150 people that are out there kind of hunting for you. And if one of them is any good at it, you'll get a few a week. And it's just the way it is, right? So, you know, and so it's all just kind of a cipher. So I think like, you know, you want to be doing revenue generating activities. You want to ensure that you have a good diversified stream of leads, right? And that's not 100% reliant on Scotty and Michael to figure that out for you. Because what they're supplying is an infrastructure, an ecosystem, and a product and leads, right? So like all we have to do is the fun bit. But we really should be looking to put ourselves in a position where our value is outsized, right? By like having a ridiculous return on investment. Because if I'm getting referrals, follow-ups, outbound, doing all this kind of stuff, then like let's just say somebody puts $10,000 a month into ads into me. If everyone else is giving a 5x return and I give a 15x return, when I bring demands to the table, they are met because I am invaluable, right? Like, and that's where I want to be as a sales rep. I want to be invaluable. And so like, because that means that I can go, hey man, I've done the data. These are the best leads. I only want these. And what are they going to do? Tell me no? Like, I'll tell everybody 4-1. How about I leave, or you give me the best leads? And it's like, yeah, okay. Like, but that's why the joke is like the top salesman can park in the CEO car spot and give his wife a tap on the bum. It's like, how you going, champ? Like that. The top sales rep does whatever the fuck he wants. You know what I mean? Like, and that's the real, like, obviously within reason, but like, you know, if someone's producing like crazy amounts of money over everybody else, that person is basically untouchable. It's a very fun position to be in, right? And so, like, you want to. Like that's an aspirational position to be in because like then you can design things more that work with what you want, right? But like, you know, there can only be one of those, right? There can only be one Steph Curry. And so like, it should be a fight, you know, and you know, it's fine. We need like the, you know, 10-point a game people as well. But it's like, you know, if you do all those things, like you have a really good chance of being the top because like the barrier is just doing them. Like, it's just not like doing them really well. It's just doing them. That's the barrier, you know? So yeah, anyway, that's my thoughts on that.
Fucking nice. The barrier is just doing them.
Hey guys, what's up? Matt here, and this video is for business owners and salespeople who want to understand the business of sales. So in this video, I'm going to kind of break down for you exactly how you turn your sales into a business. Step one to having a business is you need to have a plan. A lot of salespeople run around with chickens with their head cut off, not really understanding what's happening, what's going on. They don't really have a very good, I guess, a plan, right, to move the ball forward. So step one is you have to get a plan, okay? And what do I mean by a plan? So we want to create redundancy, okay, within our business, right? You as a sales guy, you have your own like little business, okay? And the goal of that is to be able to have it be profitable, okay? And have it be like, maybe not scalable, but have it be able to grow, okay? And it wants to grow to a point where you're happy, okay? So you need to set a plan out. You need to figure out where you're going to go, right? And then what you need to do is retroactively kind of go back and you need to figure out what needs to happen in this gap here in order to make you successful. So let's say that you want to make $50,000 a month, okay? That's your end goal, and that goal might be 3 years away. right? Which means at the end of year 2, you need to be at least halfway there, okay? Because the way that business kind of works is it kind of works like that, right? You usually hit a point right here where you sort of, your character traits and your skill level and your opportunities kind of line up and it goes whoop, straight up, but it's a kind of a slug. So let's say $50,000 is your, a month is your end state. Right now you're at 5. Okay, you've got 3 years to get there. Don't worry, there's time. Okay, just make sure you start doing the right things now. All right. So at the end of year 1, where are you? Let's say you're at $15,000 a month. Right. End of year 2, you're at $25,000 to $30,000 a month. End of year 3, you're at $50,000 a month. Okay. Now, in order to get to year 1, okay, we want to get from 5 to 15. We want to triple our income. Okay, in 1 year, which is a fantastic goal to have. Okay. Now, let's say that you earn $500 a sale. Right. And right now you're doing 10 sales per month. Right. So you want to get to 30 sales per month, which will get you to $15,000. Right. Now, in order to get 30 sales per month, how many sales calls need to actually show up in order for you to get that? Let's say it's 60, right? So you close at 50%. So from 60 sales calls that you require per month, okay, to show up, how many need to book? Let's say it's 80, right? So 6 out of 8, so roughly 80% of people or 70% of people are showing up. Right, which is pretty good metrics. Let's say you have a 2 call close. Let's say you have a triage in between. How many triages need to show up in order for you to book 70 sales calls in a month? Okay, and then in order to get a bunch of those to show up, right? Let's say it's 140 of those to show up. In order to book 70, because you have 50% conversion rate from triage to sales call. How many of those do you need to have actually booked in your diary to get 140 to show up? And that's your number. That's the number that you need. Now, let's say that number is 200, but the business can only actually give you 100. So you'd be going, okay, over the next year, I need to figure out a way to generate another 100 triages per month, okay? Now, I might do that through a second account, right? I might add on a second account that can provide me 75, right? Or 50, right? So, okay, now I have 150, I need an extra 50. How do I get 25 more per month per account? Okay, so that's 50. That means I need to average like 1.5 to 2 a day. Okay, so I got to get 1 a day, 1 triage per day, per month, per account. I need to self-generate. How do I do that? Then what I would do is I would go out and I would have a look at the opportunities. Okay, now this is my marketing, because remember, you're your own business. So now you're going, okay, I understand my end state, I understand where I want to be, I understand the gap, and now I'm going, okay, the failing of my business to get to where I want to go is my marketing department. Okay, so okay, I am my marketing department. What can me as the marketing guy now do to generate leads? Okay, because we can work on getting better stats, we can work on having a higher than 50% close rate or whatever, but those are going to be long-term things that we're going to get better at slowly. They're not going to be things that just immediately get better and better and better and better. Okay, so now we need to go, okay, what pools of influence, what things can I do as a closer, okay, that are going to get me more leads? Okay, let's say there's an email list, I can hit that up. Let's say there's a list of old leads, I can hit that up. All my no-shows, all my no-sales, the no-sales of other guys that are in the account that maybe they've let go. Okay, I can have a look at all the current clientele, and I can go, okay, like can I find all the current clients? Can I call them, set a goal with them, ask for a referral, upsell them, cross-sell them, downsell them? Like, is there just a list of old lead magnet leads? Whatever. Like, what do I have access to? Is there a Facebook group? Is there a guy on Instagram? Can I start my own LinkedIn page, right? Brand it up and then start doing my own outreach? The answer is yes, you can, right? So there's so many things that we have at our disposal that aren't even cold calling and door knocking, right? Where we can go, okay, I'm pretty sure I can get 1 triage per day. That doesn't seem unreasonable to me. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to test a few of those methods at a time, and I'm going to see which one is most effective. Because remember, I've got a year. Right? I don't have to get it done in the next month. So I'm going to go, okay, I'm going to test these 3 methods. Now, what did they get? Okay, next month, these 3 methods. Okay, what did they get? Next month, these 3 methods, what did they get? Then I have 3 months and I go, okay, if I just combine this method, and this method, I know that I can book 2 a day. Right now, how much time does that take? That takes 90 minutes a day. Okay, 90 minutes a day. Okay, I need to do 200 triages. It's going to be this much time, this much time. This is how big my work day needs to be. This is how long my work week, my work month, and this is if I put in this amount of activity, it will eventually create 200, which will create 170, which will create, 140 show up, which will create, 60 sales calls booked, which will create 30 sales, which will give me my end state of $50,000 a month. Oh, sorry, 15. Right now we go, okay, do those numbers bear out to $50,000 a month? No, they don't. Okay, so at what stage do I now have to then project out when I change offers? Okay, so again, all part of the plan. Right now, I figured out how I can maximize my current offer, so that's going to give me a good 12 months. So over the next 12 months, I need to be on the lookout for accounts that can give me $1,000 commission. Right, and I go, sweet, but I'm not just going to jump ship. I'm going to figure out how to do it here, so that when I go and do it here, I know I can be effective and I can generate results. Then from there, it's like, okay, now one account that gives me 2,000. Right, and now 30 sales at 2,000 is $60,000 a month. So over the period of those 3 years, guys, like that's how you can make this sales into a business. Okay, so once you figure out where you want to go, right, then you got to create that gap. Then what you have to do is work your way back and figure out what actually needs to be done in order to get there. What can the business that you work for at the moment or businesses provide you, right? And then how can you create a plan that bridges the gap between what can be provided from you and then what you need to generate yourself? Because if you come to me and I'm a business owner, I'm like, I just want more leads. It's like, shut up, man. Like, go out and do something yourself. Like you're a big boy, you're a sales professional, go out and actually get it done. So that is my top tips of how you create your sales into a business and how the sort of the business of sales works in general. That's how you be a successful sales professional. All right, guys, thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you thought of it, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye. Down into phases so that you can control and just have a much better understanding as to what you're doing in each phase. Therefore, you don't get lost and you can kind of take a prospect through an actual process instead of just having it done to you. Okay, so connection phase is the very beginning. It's kind of like the opener. It's where we're going to try and take the emphasis off us and put it onto the prospect. And we're going to sort of try and find out why they're there. Now, a lot of old school sales trainers and sales processes are going to be setting agendas, trying to establish your authority with like, hey, so the point of today's discussion is going to be, and at the end of this, you're going to be asked to make a decision, all these kind of things, right? Which all that does is induce sales resistance, okay? Sales resistance is no bueno. It's that feeling that you get when someone's like, hey, what's it going to take to get you into this card day? And you're like, ugh, I hate you, right? So that's not what we want to do. We want to have the person be relaxed, calm. The less they think of you as a salesperson, the better the answers that you get will be, okay? So in the connection stage, it's like, hey, what is it that attracted your attention into coming here today, into booking the call, into having this discussion? And what are you looking for? Do you know what you're looking for specifically? Have you already found what you're looking for? All we're doing is looking for an overarching goal. Let's say you're in the fitness space. I want weight loss as the goal. Let's say you're selling cars. I'm looking for a new car. Let's say I'm looking to upgrade my car. Let's say you're looking for coaching. I'm looking for help with my digital marketing strategies. Okay, cool. Now, a lot of people, a lot of sales, old school sales are going to dive deep on that problem straight away and go like, okay, well, how long has that been a problem? What kind of impact is that having on you? And when was the last time you were 10 kilos lighter? All that does is raise alarm bells in the prospect's mind because it's too early for that conversation. Let me give you an example in real time. Let's say you walk into an elevator and you just go, hey, floor 9, please. Oh, how's your relationship with your mother? That's a weird thing to say because there's no context behind it. You don't have the rapport with that person yet. You haven't earned vulnerability. Whereas in an NEPQ sale, we're going to wait to ask those questions until a little bit later, and we're going to build step by step on the intensity of the questions that we ask so that it makes sense, and that when we actually ask for the problems and the solutions they're looking for, we get the real answers because they feel comfortable enough with us. So what I want you to ask yourself is, which way are you doing? You're doing the old school way or using the new model of selling? Because if you're doing it the old school way, where you're diving deep into problems really quickly, and you're setting agendas, and you're letting them know what the point of today's call is going to be, that all you're doing is inducing sales resistance, and you're making it much harder for your prospects to open up. Okay, so that's the connection phase. The next phase is going to be situation. I'll see you in the next video. In NEPQ, it's kind of broke trying to establish your authority with like, hey, so the point of today's, it's like, hey, what is it that attracted your attention into coming here today, into booking the call, into having this discussion? And what are you looking for? Do you know what you're looking for specifically? Have you already found what you're looking for? All we're doing is looking for an overarching goal. Let's say you're in the fitness space. I want weight loss as the goal. Let's say you're selling cars. I'm looking for a new car. Let's say I'm looking to upgrade my car. Let's say you're looking for coaching. I'm looking for help with my digital marketing strategies. Okay, cool. Now, a lot of people, a lot of sales, old school sales are going to dive deep on that problem straight away and go like, okay, well, how long has that been a problem? What kind of impact is that having on you? And when was the last time you were 10 kilos lighter? All that does is raise alarm bells in the prospect's mind because it's too early for that conversation. Let me give you an example in real time. Let's say you walk into an elevator. Hey guys, what's up? We just finished connection. Now we're going to talk about the situation phase. The situation phase is really simple. What we're looking to do is, now that we found the overarching goal that they're here for, what we're looking to do is just find out what they're currently doing about the thing that they're here to solve. Let's say they're here to lose weight. Okay, what are you currently doing to lose weight? Because what I want to do is I want to have an understanding of what they're currently doing, and then I can go into a system where I ask them if they like it. If they don't, either way, it's totally fine with me. And then we can start to uncover process-based problems and outcome-based problems, because we want to understand both, whether it's a process-based issue or an outcome-based issue. So the old school sales reps are going to come in and they're going to hey guys, what's up? We just finished connection. Now we're going to talk about the situation phase. The situation phase is really simple. What we're looking to do is, now that we found the overarching goal that they're here for, what we're looking to do is just find out what they're currently doing about the thing that they're here to solve. Let's say they're here to lose weight. Okay, what are you currently doing to lose weight? Because what I want to do is I want to have an understanding of what they're currently doing, and then I can go into a system where I ask them if they like it. If they don't, either way, it's totally fine with me. And then we can start to uncover process-based problems and outcome-based problems, because we want to understand both, whether it's a process-based issue or an outcome-based issue. So the old school sales reps, they're going to come in and they're going to start dismantling and say, well, obviously, you know, you're here for a reason. You probably don't like what you're currently doing. What is it that you don't like about? Whereas the new model salesperson, if they say, okay, well, can I ask, what are you doing to help yourself lose weight now? Well, I'm doing this. Well, how long have you been doing that? Is there any particular reason why you chose that way? what do you don't like about? Whereas the new model salesperson, if they say, okay, well, can I ask, what are you doing to help yourself lose weight now? Well, I'm doing this. Well, how long have you been doing that? Is there any particular reason why you chose that way? Well, do you like the weight loss strategies you have in place now? Yes, I do. Oh, that's fantastic. What do you like about it? Well, I like this, this, and this. Well, you know, listen, John, it sounds like it's going fairly well. Is there anything you would change about, I guess, either the way that you lose weight or the amount of weight that you've lost if you could, though? Right, so now by doing it that way, what I've done is I've given the person permission to complain. I've validated that their way of doing things is not terrible, right? Because what don't I want to do in a sale is undermine the person's decision-making process so early in the game that they don't feel confident to make a decision at the end, right? So I want to keep them in that pocket where they have enough self-belief to where they trust their decision-making process, but they know they can't do it alone. Okay, so if I start diving deep into all of their problems and start trying to tear that apart, one, it's very transparent what I'm doing. So that old model of selling in today's, information buyers, right? They understand. They've seen the movies, guys. They have access to the books. They know what's being done. We want to use a methodology that works with and not against human behavior. So we start asking them key and strategic questions that doesn't open up too much too soon and that stack on top of each other nicely so the prospect feels comfortable asking the questions and they make sense as to why you're asking them. And then no matter what they answer, we have an ability to handle that either way. All right, guys, so that's situation questions, okay? I want you guys to practice that. I want you to figure out like how you would structure your situation questions around what you're going to be doing. So now you have an understanding of what they're here for, right? And then what they're currently doing about it and how long they've been doing it for and what caused them to do it that way. Then the next phase is going to be problem awareness, which is where we're going to take the prospect through a little bit of a process where they can have an understanding as to what their real problems are and what impacts and all that kind of stuff has happened to their problems. So I'll see you guys on the next video.
Okay, makes sense. 1 o'clock. I will go now. 25 minutes. Better than nothing, I guess. Little by little, a little becomes a lot. Okay. Maybe done for today because I fucked up my schedule like with working out and stuff. But tomorrow's gonna be a better day. I'm gonna go walk as soon as I woke up for the first 45 minutes of 75 hard. Then have a really deep work of block of work. At least 4 to 6 hours. I don't know. Like the goal is 8, but like we'll see how it goes. Okay, we'll see how it goes. Yeah, like wake up, go walk, do some shit, and then like 8 to 4, 8 to 5 with breaks. Deep block of work, and then go for swimming and I guess working out number 2. Then eat. Yeah, maybe that's how I'm gonna do it. Eat like the big meal, like the meat and the potatoes or rice, and the breakfast can be after the walk. It can be eggs with fruits, and then during the day my smoothie with vegetables, fruits, and all this stuff, lentils probably for more protein. We'll see. We'll see. It's gonna be fun. Okay, I'm adjusting it here, and then yeah, maybe 8 to 4 or 8 to 5. We'll see how it goes, and then go like 2 hours, workout, blah blah blah. Come back home, and then have a shower, eat, cook, eat, and then tidy up everything, and then relax again. I mean, not relax, like for an hour or two, like reflect on the day and do my EOD and meditate or I don't know, do the side quests. You know what I mean? Little stuff. Anyway, see you in the next one.